The high-security prison watchtower looms over the barbed wire fences as a guard's voice echoes, calling for prisoner 1532. Standing before the iron bars, an officer informs the inmate that today is finally the day she regains her freedom. Meet 28-year-old Xiaomomo, the legendary master of the sixth generation of thieves, who demands to be addressed with the respect her title deserves. The guard mocks her, dangling the cell keys and reminding her that she isn't going anywhere without his say-so. In a split second, the officer's smug expression is replaced by a look of utter, wide-eyed disbelief. He stares down at the floor where the heavy shackles lie empty, the master thief having already slipped out of them. Outside, Momo casually approaches a waiting helicopter, greeted by a high-ranking official who is ready to discuss her future. The helicopter roars into the sky, leaving the gray walls of the penitentiary far below. As they fly, the commissioner warns Momo to stay focused and not let her past mistakes define her new path. Looking out the window, Momo sees a sea of inmates gathered in the yard to wave a synchronized, grand goodbye to their idol. The commissioner notes that Momo's reputation has made her a legendary figure within the criminal community. Settling into the luxury of the cabin, Momo gets straight to the point, asking if a supervisor has already been assigned to watch over her. Meanwhile, the sun shines brightly over the modern glass facade of the bustling Galleria Hanloa shopping mall. A woman with a sharp, disciplined gaze stands among the crowd, her eyes scanning for any signs of trouble. She quickly identifies a suspicious individual wearing a mask and hoodie moving stealthily through the shoppers. The thief strikes with lightning speed, lifting a smartphone directly out of a woman's handbag. Hearing the frantic clatter of approaching footsteps, the criminal realizes his escape is about to be cut short. With a powerful, calculated leap, the officer delivers a flying kick that sends the thief crashing to the ground. The masked man is pinned instantly, his attempt at a quick getaway ending in a painful collision with the pavement. Flashing her identification, 28-year-old Q Changji reveals she is a newly graduated police patrol officer. The metallic snap of handcuffs signals the official end of the pursuit as she secures the suspect's wrists. Changji returns the stolen phone to the grateful victim, reminding her to be more cautious in such crowded places. She brushes off the praise with a modest smile, insisting that she was simply fulfilling her professional duty. Her moment of pride is interrupted by the arrival of a municipal investigation team who look far from happy to see her. Cheney is left completely bewildered by their hostile reaction to her successful arrest. At the police station, a senior investigator shouts in frustration, explaining that her heroics actually ruined a long-term undercover operation. He reveals that the thief was a low-level pawn intended to lead them to a much bigger criminal target. Changji stands in silence, forced to endure a harsh scolding for her impulsive and uncoordinated actions. Observing the tension is 33-year-old Chun Wu-shi, the formidable head of the Municipal Investigation Division. Highlighting their long-standing friendship from the academy, the commissioner asks the investigator to leave so she can speak with Changji privately. The investigator exits the office, leaving the two women alone to address the fallout of the morning's events. Changji offers a sincere apology to her superior, feeling the weight of her rookie mistake. Wuxi tells her to relax and sit down, suggesting they speak as friends rather than just colleagues. A mysterious smile crosses the commissioner's face as she mentions a special task that is perfectly suited for Changji's talents. They move to the sofas to discuss the mission, but a sudden silence falls over the room. The serious atmosphere breaks into laughter as Wuxi admits she has completely forgotten the details of the assignment. Changji sighs at the commissioner's forgetfulness, while the older woman frantically searches through her notebook for the instructions. Finally finding the entry, Wuxi explains that Changji's new responsibility is to act as a handler for a high-profile individual. She identifies the target as the infamous Master of Thieves, a name that immediately puts Changji on edge. Elsewhere, Xiaomomo has traded her prison uniform for a blue jacket and is casually enjoying a lollipop in the city. The former thief stands before an apartment complex, confirming the location provided by the police. High above on a balcony, Changji watches the blonde woman's arrival with a cold, analytical gaze. She wonders if this unassuming girl could truly be the master criminal she is tasked with supervising. Back in the office, Wuxi explains that an imitator has surfaced, and they need the original master to help track them down. The plan is to grant Momo a reduced sentence in exchange for her technical expertise in catching the copycat. Cheney is visibly skeptical, questioning the wisdom of trusting a career criminal to work alongside the police. The commissioner insists that Changji's unmatched sense of justice is exactly what's needed to keep the thief in line. Later, Changji waits in the hallway, leaning against the wall as she prepares for the first meeting. She remains convinced that a criminal will always be a criminal, regardless of the deals they make with the law. Resolving to be strict, Changji vows to show the master thief exactly how rude a dedicated officer can be. She imagines herself physically asserting her dominance to ensure the thief understands who is in charge. As she focuses on her stern resolve, she is unaware that the master of thieves is already right behind her. Momo leans in playfully, whispering a greeting that catches the serious officer completely off guard. A wave of shock washes over Changye as the thief invades her personal space with a mischievous grin. With a bright, triumphant smile, Xiaomomo officially introduces herself herself to her new, very stunned supervisor. Momo looks visibly distressed at the idea of being under constant surveillance. Commissioner Chun explains that keeping an eye on a legendary thief is a necessary precaution for her release. The offer is simple: help catch the fake master thief, and her freedom is guaranteed. Momo goes silent, carefully weighing the cost of her cooperation. She finally agrees to help, but only if she can have a say in who her supervisor is. With a mischievous glint in her eyes, she asks if the force has any beautiful women available. The commissioner's deadpan offer to supervise herself leaves Momo looking completely dejected. Momo throws a full-blown tantrum, insisting that she absolutely will not work with a man. Chun realizes she has the perfect candidate in mind: someone young, single, and capable. Momo strikes a playful pose on the balcony as she finally meets her new handler. She observes the rookie from above, intrigued by the newcomer's serious demeanor. Momo notes that the young officer seems remarkably calm and focused for a rookie. Below her, the officer maintains a sharp, analytical gaze, watching Momo's every move. Momo waves down with a cheerful grin, clearly trying to get a rise out of the stoic woman. With a sly look, Momo decides it's time to show this rookie what a master thief can really do. She introduces herself with a casual greeting, officially identifying as the master of thieves. Before she can finish, a pair of handcuffs suddenly snaps tightly around her wrist. The officer pulls Momo close, making it clear that this is a professional supervision, not a friendship. She directs Momo toward her new quarters, telling her to stay put for further orders. The officer's eyes widen in shock as she realizes the handcuffs are now dangling empty from her hand. Momo perches on the railing, casually flaunting the police ID she just swiped from the officer's pocket. The rookie stands frozen, unable to believe her credentials were taken so easily. Furiously, the officer demands that the thief stop and return her property immediately. She shouts in frustration, warning Momo that stealing a police ID is a serious offense. Momo just gives a confident, backward glance, enjoying the thrill of the chase. She effortlessly hops down from the balcony, leading the officer on a high-stakes pursuit. While running, Momo opens the ID and finds a hidden note of self-encouragement inside. The officer turns bright red, mortified that her private motivational note has been exposed. She screams at Momo to come back down, her embarrassment fueling her rage. A chaotic chase begins through the park, with Momo easily staying several steps ahead. The rookie officer starts to lag behind, gasping for air as her stamina reaches its limit. She hunches over in exhaustion, unable to keep up with the thief's relentless pace. Momo pauses and looks back, wondering if she might have taken the prank a bit too far. Her expression shifts to surprise as she notices the officer's determined aura. The officer declares she has no choice but to activate her transformation for the mission. She reaches for her shirt buttons, prepared to reveal her true tactical readiness. In an instant, she reveals a full police uniform hidden underneath, boosting her physical stats to the max. With a massive surge of adrenaline, the officer charges forward like a bolt of lightning. She reaches out and manages to snag the back of Momo's jacket with a firm grip. A triumphant smirk plays across her lips as she finally makes the catch. She proudly informs Momo that no thief is capable of outrunning the entire police force. Momo looks back, genuinely impressed by the officer's sudden burst of speed. She finds the rookie's intense dedication to her professional duty quite endearing. Momo suddenly turns and grabs the officer's hands, catching her completely off guard. In a blur of movement, Momo uses a series of quick marks to distract the officer and break her grip. The officer pulls back in a panic, her arms covered in marks from the thief's playful prank. She gasps as she realizes she's once again lost control of the situation. Momo makes a break for it, laughing as she leaves the bewildered officer in the dust. She taunts the rookie over her shoulder, calling her a total airhead for falling for the distraction. The officer's rage boils over as she's compared to the failed guards of historical legends. She swears she'll catch the thief today or quit the force entirely in shame. Reaching for her belt, she prepares to unleash a barrage of handcuffs as a final resort. Tucked away behind a nearby tree, a mysterious pink-haired girl watches the chaos unfold. She adjusts her cap, silently worrying if the master thief is pushing her luck too far. Cue changey corners Momo on the police station roof, declaring the chase is finally over. The thief nonchalantly sips her drink, unfazed by the threat of prison. Suddenly, Momo takes a daring, backwards leap right off the building's ledge. She balances effortlessly in midair, claiming no situation is ever truly hopeless. Changi watches in absolute horror as her target plunges toward the pavement. The rookie officer panics, imagining a messy end for the master thief. Momo instantly deploys her blue jacket as a makeshift glider to slow her fall. She touches down safely, praising her outfit's tactical utility. From the ground, Momo taunts the officer to meet her at the bottom of the stairs. Changi sprints down the stairwell, refusing to let this game continue. She bursts back into the station and nearly runs into Commissioner Chun. Ms. Chun observes the frantic rookie with a calm, analytical expression. Overwhelmed by frustration, Changi slams her fist against a nearby pillar. She leans against the cold stone, lamenting her failure to secure the thief. Feeling defeated, Changi wanders off to find a private place to vent. The stoic officer finally breaks down into a mess of comedic, frustrated tears. Her phone rings with a call from Ms. Chun, who has already sensed the trouble. The commissioner offers high-tech assistance to track Momo's current location. Changi regains her composure and agrees to meet for the tech briefing. She heads toward the park, feeling guilty for needing help once again. In the park, a mysterious pink-haired girl approaches Momo from behind. The girl, Dong Menglan, reveals she is Momo's apprentice and urges an immediate escape. Menglan mocks the police, calling the supervising officer incredibly stupid. She shows Momo a profile identifying Q Changi as their primary obstacle. Momo quickly defends her rival, refusing to tolerate any disrespect toward the officer. Flashing the stolen ID, Momo claims Changi is her most important future target. High above the city, a police security drone begins its surveillance patrol. Ms. Chun shows the futuristic drone feed to a bewildered Changi back at the office. The screen displays Momo sitting on a park bench with her apprentice. Changi is stunned as the drone begins transmitting their live audio feed. They overhear Meng Lang questioning why a master thief would ever be so obedient. The apprentice warns Momo about a new, highly skilled copycat thief on the rise. Momo ignores the warning entirely, focusing her attention on her instant noodles. She slurps her ramen, completely unconcerned about any potential rivals. Momo explains that those who merely imitate her skills are no threat at all. She reflects on her past riches, stating that tangible gold is easily acquired. The thief declares her intention to steal something far more valuable this time. Changi listens closely, expecting a confession of a major upcoming heist. Meng Lan asks if she can help with this grand, mysterious plan. Momo declines, insisting this specific task must be handled alone. She reveals her true objective is to fully conquer Q Changi's professional resolve. Changi and Ms. Chun stare at the monitor in a state of awkward, stunned silence. Momo daydreams of a happy life with her favorite officer. Changi turns beet red, fuming at the intercepted audio. She kills the drone feed to hide her embarrassment. Changi vows to hunt Momo down and bring her to justice. She acts cool, claiming she'll forget the thief's words. Chun watches them leave, satisfied with the team's progress. The commissioner notes they've identified a new underworld contact. Apprentice Meng Lan stands by, looking completely fed up. She screams that her mentor has lost all professional standards. Meng Lan berates Momo for fraternizing with the enemy. The apprentice breaks down in tears over the perceived betrayal. She declares that Momo is no longer fit for her title. Meng Lan cuts ties, choosing to pursue her own path. She walks off, promising to outshine her former master. Momo watches her go, amused by the students' rebellion. Suddenly, Changi corners the thief with a fierce shout. The officer demands her stolen ID and a full explanation. Changi stops short, baffled by the thief's calm demeanor. Momo offers her wrists, surrendering with a playful smile. Darkness falls over the police-monitored apartment complex. Momo spends the processing time sharing her personal trivia. She pesters Changi for personal details during their walk. In the elevator, Momo fires off a barrage of random questions. Changi's patience snaps as the interrogation continues. A sharp smack echoes as the officer silences the thief. Changi demands respect for the law and her uniform. She drags Momo along, reinforcing their strict professional hierarchy. They arrive at the safe house where Momo will stay. Changi leaves with a final warning of constant surveillance. Momo relaxes, seemingly enjoying her new situation. Changi walks away, reminding herself to stay detached. She focuses solely on the mission assigned by Commissioner Chun. A sudden noise catches the officer's sharp attention. She finds Momo perched dangerously on the room's balcony. The thief effortlessly slides back inside to avoid a fall. Momo strikes a dramatic pose, begging for more attention. She crawls forward, treating the arrest like a game. Changi enters the room to enforce the rules of custody. A knock sounds, accompanied by the commissioner's voice. Changi opens the door, expecting a formal debriefing. Momo reveals she was mimicking the boss the entire time. She boasts about her elite voice mimicry capabilities. Changi isn't impressed, suggesting a career in comedy instead. The officer turns to leave, done with the thief's antics. Momo uses the fake voice again to mock Changi's anger. Changi explodes, ordering her to stop the mockery. Momo continues the bit, narrating a fake wedding ceremony. Changi drags the thief inside to stop the loud disruption. She pins Momo down, taking control of the situation. Changi muzzles the thief to end the vocal impersonations. She reestablishes the firm boundary between law and crime. Momo reacts with a playful lick to the officer's palm. Changi stares down, confused by Momo's erratic behavior. Momo suggests their unique skills would make a perfect team. She explains how they understand the underworld's inner workings. Momo proposes a deal to solve crimes and gain experience. She taunts the officer for lack of street-level experience. The story shifts back 1 year to a pivotal moment in the police force's history. Commissioner Chun stands before a room of hopeful recruits, ready to announce the elite picks for the criminal investigation team. Chun senses a gaze and pauses, looking out into the audience with a sudden realization. In the middle of the crowd, a younger Changi is frantically waving her arms, desperate to be noticed by the higher-ups. The commissioner quickly looks away, proceeding to finalize the list of the chosen few. Later that winter, the weight of rejection hits Changi hard as she stands alone in the falling snow. Clutching her uniform, the rookie struggles to maintain her composure in front of her superior. A chibi-sized Commissioner Chun attempts to comfort the weeping girl, who insists she is perfectly fine, while literally standing in a pool of her own tears. Chun sighs, explaining that if Changi had graduated just 1 year earlier, she would have certainly made the cut. At that time, the department needed every hand on deck to finally corner the legendary master of thieves. Grateful for the encouragement, Changi promises to step up whenever the next opportunity arises. Eager to prove her worth, Changi spots a high-powered police motorcycle parked outside. She glances around to make sure the coast is clear before approaching the vehicle. Striking a heroic pose on the bike, She imagines herself as a major officer shouting commands at fleeing criminals. Her fantasy is shattered when the actual owner of the bike arrives, awkwardly asking the blushing rookie to move. Changi quickly steps aside, her face turning bright red from the sheer embarrassment of the encounter. Returning to the present, the weight of those memories lingers in Changi's eyes. Momo leans in close, pointing out that Changi is far too inexperienced compared to the veteran cops she usually deals with. The thief offers a smirk, suggesting her expertise is the only thing that can bridge that massive skill gap. Changi remains silent, her expression hardening as she listens to the proposal. She admits that she is indeed just a common officer and not a high-level investigator. Turning her back on the thief, Changi prepares to head out and leave the proposal behind. Momo stops her with a cutting question, wondering how such common officers managed to capture the master of thieves in the first place. She looks at Changi, suggesting that if she were still at large, they might have been true rivals. Changi looks down, the shadow of the past falling over her face. She sternly tells Momo that she has no interest in hearing about the details of the capture right now. As Changi moves toward the door, Momo reaches out to stop her from leaving. Instead of leaving, Changi pulls out a personal journal titled Q Changi's Journal 1318. She forces Momo to sit down, claiming this rehabilitation session is vital for a criminal's soul. The diary transports them back to Changi's middle school days, where she was already a self-appointed guardian of justice. In the present, Momo looks like she's edged 50 years from the boredom of listening to these childhood exploits. Changi ignores the pain of her captive audience and continues reading with intense focus. Sensing an opening, Momo cautiously tries to sneak toward the exit. Changi's eyes flash with a terrifying enthusiasm as she reaches the next chapter of her justice saga. The story continues with a young Changi taking down a middle school protection racket with surgical precision. She confronts the bully with a stack of evidence, leaving the delinquent completely speechless. Back in the apartment, a soul-crushed Momo begs to be taken back to the relative peace of prison. Night falls over the city as the marathon reading session stretches into the late hours. Momo eventually collapses onto the floor, defeated by the sheer power of Changi's middle school memories. Changi finally shuts the book, satisfied with her lecture on morality. She looks at Momo and admits that while she is just a rookie, she doesn't need a criminal's help to succeed. With a look of fierce determination, she declares that she will reach her goals through her own merit. Momo watches her, perhaps seeing a spark of something she didn't expect in the young officer. The next day, the bustle of the city takes over at the busy Kingnian Xiaoji subway station. Changi and Momo stand near the entrance when Changi's phone suddenly rings. Momo tenses up, realizing the situation is about to get serious. Commissioner Chun is on the line, accurately guessing Changi's exact location at the station. Changi confirms she's about to board the subway, unaware of the crisis unfolding. Chun's voice turns grave as she explains that a dangerous Class A thief has just infiltrated the station. Changi's eyes widen as she asks for a description of the target. Chun reveals a series of photos, explaining the thief used advanced technology to mimic the appearance of anyone. The commissioner then asks if Momo is nearby, suggesting the thief's skills might be necessary for the hunt. Changi lies through her teeth, claiming she left Momo back at the apartment. Her gaze sharpens as she vows to catch this shape-shifting criminal entirely on her own. Suddenly, Momo leans into the frame, playfully asking if Changi will finally forgive her if she helps out. Changi tries to brush her off, insisting she is far too busy for Momo's game. Momo's expression shifts to one of supreme confidence as she claims her master sense has already locked onto the target. She stares directly at Changi, promising to point out the hidden thief right here and now. An A-class threat known as Butterfly makes her entrance, leading her team with calculated precision. Her mastery of disguise is legendary, once posing as a high-end jewelry store manager to pull off a massive heist. Even with the police closing in, she effortlessly slipped through their fingers by shifting into a security guard's uniform. Back in the present, her subordinates present her with a stunning piece of stolen jewelry. She plans to vanish once more by blending into the dense flow of the city's subway system. Butterfly's arrogance grows as she believes her skills might even surpass the legendary master of thieves. She issues a cold command to her team, ordering them to split up and rendezvous at their usual location. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in the crowd catches her sharp eyes. Nearby, Changi stubbornly brushes off Momo's offer of assistance. The rookie officer remains adamant about proving her worth solo, unaware that Butterfly is observing her every move. Sensing something unusual, Butterfly tells her team to proceed, while she stays back to investigate. She recognizes the infamous master of thieves and wonders why such a legend is siding with a rookie cop. Changi's clumsy yet determined attempt at a handcuff shuriken technique leaves Momo completely speechless. Analyzing the rookie's behavior, Butterfly decides that this officer lacks the keen intuition of a true professional. Changi narrows her focus, desperately trying to recall her training to spot the criminal in the sea of faces. Her eyes light up with a sudden flash of realization as she locks onto a target. With absolute confidence, Changi declares she's found her prey, while Butterfly watches from the sidelines. The officer charges forward with explosive speed, cutting through the crowd like a knife. She delivers a devastating flying tackle to a man she believes is the shapeshifter. Changi successfully pins the suspect and recovers a stolen wallet for a shocked commuter. She proudly displays her badge, completely missing the real Butterfly walking calmly past her. Butterfly lets out a silent sigh of relief, realizing the rookie is far from being a real threat. Thrilled with her success, Changji looks around to brag to Momo, only to find she's vanished. Later, the subway station is cordoned off with police tape as the investigation moves to the exterior. Commissioner Chun confronts Changji with a grim expression on her face. Changji's pride evaporates instantly as she hears the truth about her target. She bows her head in shame, apologizing for her massive blunder in the field. Chun places a steadying hand on her shoulder, reminding her that this was an elite-level operation. The commissioner notes that things might have gone differently if Changji had utilized Momo's expert eyes. Changji realizes the gravity of her arrogance and the cost of ignoring a professional partner. She walks away from the scene alone, the weight of her failure heavy on her shoulders. The rookie's face reflects a deep sense of frustration as she realizes the A-class criminal has escaped. Other officers walk past, whispering about how the rookie's interference ruined the entire manhunt. Every biting comment cuts deep as Changji processes the consequences of her actions. Elsewhere, the criminal group regroups, with a subordinate checking if the police caused any real trouble. Butterfly casually dismisses the police presence as nothing more than a minor annoyance. Still, the mystery of the Master of Thieves' involvement with a rookie cop continues to haunt her. A sudden, sharp glint in the shadows reveals that they are no longer alone. Momo sits perched high above them, nonchalantly enjoying an ice cream bar. She warns Butterfly that underestimating her business partner is a fatal mistake. Butterfly finally understands that the Master of Thieves has truly switched sides to protect her partner's interests. Momo stands up and demands the return of the stolen jewelry, wanting to bring a gift back to her frustrated partner. The criminals brace themselves, ready to use their superior numbers to take Momo down. Momo just smirks, treating the upcoming fight like a simple game. She prepares to unleash her skills, claiming she can take them all out with nothing but a melting ice cream stick. Shia Momokuli takes a bite of her popsicle, completely unfazed by the chaos she just caused. She examines the recovered loot with a critical eye, mocking the thieves for their lack of ambition in only snatching cheap jewelry. From her perch, she looks down at the trio of criminals she just neutralized with effortless grace. Butterfly and her subordinates stare back in absolute shock, unable to believe they were defeated in a 3-on-1 fight. Momo's reputation as the youngest and first female Master of Thieves isn't just for show, as her legendary skills are clearly the real deal. She prepares to depart, casually mentioning that experienced thieves like them should have no trouble untying themselves once she's gone. Distraught and humiliated, Butterfly demands to know why a master criminal would ever bother helping the police. Momo offers a silent, lingering glance back, leaving her true motives a mystery. Outside the hideout, the city streets remain quiet as the evening air begins to cool. Near a patrol car, two officers gossip about how the rookie Changji only gets ahead because of her close friendship with the commissioner. Back inside, Butterfly continues her bitter tirade, questioning if Momo even worthy of her elite title. The defeated thief's eyes burn with resentment as she labels Changji a brainless officer who doesn't belong in the major crimes division. Momo ignores the insults, focusing instead on finishing her snack while she contemplates her next move. A small smirk plays on her lips as she notes that the thief still has plenty of energy left to complain. To silence the noise, Momo pulls out her smartphone and threatens to actually call her favorite officer to the scene. At the Bay City Police headquarters, the lights hum with the weight of a long day. Inside the quietest corner of the station, the bathroom stalls offer a moment of isolation. Changji sits alone, overwhelmed by the professional failure and the shame of her earlier mistake. Her phone suddenly vibrates with a call from an unknown number, breaking the heavy silence. She is stunned to hear Momo on the other end, claiming she has tracked down the elusive thief they lost earlier. Changji looks down at the floor, her expression clouded with a mix of exhaustion and deep-seated guilt. Momo waits for a response in the alley, her phone pressed to her ear as she stands over her captives. The thief listens in silence as Changji admits she's too tired to continue and suggests contacting the commissioner instead. Momo stares at her phone in confusion after the line goes dead, wondering why the rookie is acting so depressed. She looks back at Butterfly, realizing that the arrest won't mean anything if her partner isn't the one to make it. With a sudden change of heart, Momo decides to let the thieves walk free for now, much to their disbelief. Night falls over the police headquarters as the shift change begins. Commissioner Chun stops in her tracks, surprised by the sudden honesty coming from her subordinate. Changji stands tall, finally admitting that she let her personal bias cloud her judgment during the subway mission. As they walk through the glowing city, Changji confesses her struggle to believe that any criminal can truly find redemption. Chun listens patiently, walking side by side with the young officer under the warm glow of the street lamps. The commissioner asks if Changji truly believes that someone's past defines them forever. Changji explains her rigid worldview, arguing that if criminals could simply change, the police would have no purpose. Chun stops to explain that their objective isn't to eliminate crime entirely, but to safeguard the line of justice. She emphasizes that their goal is to lift people above that line, helping them find a better path. Changji listens intently as Chun points to Momo as a prime example of how even a thief can contribute to the greater good. Suddenly, Momo's voice cuts through the air, calling out to her dear officer with dramatic flair. The thief appears covered in dirt and scratches, claiming she just survived a grueling battle with the disguised criminal. With a theatrical sigh, she produces the stolen jewelry, pretending she barely managed to recover the goods alone. She presents the evidence to Changi, maintaining the facade that the thief was a formidable opponent. Momo takes Changi's hands, telling her that the fight would have been much easier if they had worked together. She offers a sincere apology for their earlier conflict, hoping to mend their professional bond. Changi looks at Momo with a newfound sense of respect, realizing the value of having a partner who has her back. Under the light of the crescent moon, Momo asks if Changi will finally accept her as a true teammate. Changi stares back silently, her stern expression beginning to soften for the first time. She tells Momo to lean in and bring her forehead closer, as if she has something important to say. Momo complies, looking up with a confused and curious expression. With a quick flick to the forehead, Changi forgives her idiot partner and welcomes her back to the team. Watching from a distance, Commissioner Chun smiles, happy to see the two of them finally developing a strong professional connection. Chun questions if Momo truly saw the culprit's face, and the thief confirms she verified it personally during their scuffle. Recognizing the weight of this lead, the commissioner decides it is time to pivot their strategy. She instructs Changi to escort Momo to the investigation department tomorrow morning to finalize a composite sketch. Changi hesitates, her gaze lingering on the master thief as she processes the new orders. Despite her reservations, the rookie officer resolves to accept the partnership, acknowledging her own past stubbornness. She watches Momo at a vending machine, realizing that the thief's vast experience is an asset they can no longer ignore. Later, Changi scours a secret forum on her phone, searching for the legendary history of the Master of Thieves. The digital records describe a notorious criminal with ties to global syndicates, who once humiliated 24 elite detectives. As Momo struggles with the machine in the background, Changi reads how the thief's fame eventually inspired half a dozen films. The legend grows deeper as the report reveals Momo is one of only 6 people in 5 centuries to earn her prestigious title. Changi stares at the screen in disbelief, struggling to reconcile the myth with the girl standing before her. Suddenly, a cold can is pressed against her cheek as Momo offers a drink to break the tension. The officer is stunned to see Momo has harvested an entire bag of sodas while she wasn't looking. Changi's professional instincts flare up instantly, demanding Momo return the stolen goods to the machine. The next morning, the duo arrives at the imposing headquarters of the Bay City Police Department. Inside the briefing room, Momo begins detailing the physical characteristics of the disguised criminal. She adds crucial details about the twin assistants who are seen acting as the thief's backup. Changi remains silent, carefully observing her partner's uncharacteristic focus on the task. The department's sketch artist works rapidly, translating Momo's descriptions into a high-fidelity portrait. Changi looks on, hoping this lead will finally put them ahead of their elusive target. A senior officer arrives to collect the finished work, announcing the Major Crimes Division is taking over the pursuit. Changi offers a rare moment of praise, telling Momo that this sketch is a massive contribution to the force. Momo jokingly suggests borrowing the senior officer's badge as payback for his cold attitude toward them. Changi walks away, still blaming herself for letting the thief slip through her fingers at the station. Seeing her partner's guilt, Momo claims she isn't actually that interested in the hunt herself. However, she stops dead in her tracks, revealing she's been holding back one vital piece of information. With a mischievous glint in her eye, Momo confesses she already knows exactly where the A-class criminal is hiding. She suggests they just leave it to the experts, knowing exactly how Changi will react to the bait. Predictably, Changi fires up her scooter and demands Momo lead her to the hideout immediately. Momo hops on the back with a grin, noting the irony of the officer suddenly ignoring protocol. The wheels of the scooter spin violently as they roar out of the police parking lot. As they weave through traffic, Momo explains she secretly tracked the gang immediately after their previous encounter. Changi realizes Momo intentionally faked her struggle, just to set up this perfect opportunity for a bust. The officer warns Momo never to let a high-level criminal go so easily again, regardless of the reason. Momo playfully counters that she wouldn't have this quality time with her favorite officer otherwise. Changi remains silent, her mind racing as she tries to handle Momo's unpredictable personality. She realizes that to a legend like Momo, even an A-class threat looks like a common pickpocket. The rookie reflects on how Momo shattered records to become the youngest and first female master of thieves. Despite their different sides of the law, Changi can't help but admire Momo's absolute mastery of her craft. In a moment of vulnerability, Changi tightens her grip on the thief's waist as they speed toward danger. She leans her head against Momo's back, feeling the weight of her own inexperience compared to her partner. Momo looks back in surprise, noticing the sudden intensity of the officer's hold. The thief winces, pointing out that Changi is gripping her so tightly it's actually starting to hurt. Once they arrive, Momo teases that she didn't expect such a serious officer to be so physically affectionate. Changi walks ahead toward the target building, insisting she was simply lost in thought during the ride. Momo continues the playful banter, causing the embarrassed officer to snap back at her. High above, a masked lookout watches the duo from a balcony and reports their arrival into a headset. On the other end of the line, a mysterious woman confirms they are prepared for the intrusion. The enemy leader reveals they have secured their own external help, to deal with the master thief. The backup is revealed to be Dong Menglin, the former apprentice who once studied under Momo herself. Changyi bursts through the door with her weapon drawn, shouting for the suspects to surrender while Momo watches the chaos with a calm expression. Both the officer and the thief freeze in their tracks as they process the unexpected scene, waiting for them inside the hideout. Butterfly reveals herself from the shadows, holding a young woman captive and gloating about the duo falling directly into her trap. Changyi's eyes widen as she realizes they are dealing with a hostage situation, while Momo remains stoic in the face of the threat. The villainous thief holds a syringe filled with a dangerous dose of anesthetic to the captive's neck, proving she is willing to cross any line. Butterfly lays out her demands, insisting that the two intruders take the victim's place if they want to save her life. Momo stares back with a piercing gaze, reminding her rival that true thieves are supposed to value objects over lives. The legendary thief questions why Butterfly is dragging a law enforcement officer into their personal vendetta. Butterfly smiles maliciously, explaining that the officer's presence is required to serve as a witness to Momo's ultimate public disgrace. She gives a silent signal to her masked subordinate to begin the digital broadcast. A smartphone screen displays a trending live stream, where hundreds of criminals are tuning in to watch the police and thief team up. Butterfly mocks Momo, claiming that seeing the legendary master tied up alongside a cop will destroy her reputation forever. Prioritizing the safety of the civilian above all else, Changyi decides to comply with the hostage exchange. Momo keeps her composure, stating that she has no intention of resisting as long as the hostage is released unharmed. She boldly challenges Butterfly to tie them up, showing no fear of the humiliation the villain has planned. In a moment of internal panic, a tiny version of Momo reels from the sheer absurdity of their predicament. The two are forced back to back and bound tightly with heavy ropes as they prepare for the next phase of the confrontation. Changyi demands that Butterfly fulfill her side of the bargain and let the innocent girl go immediately. Butterfly lets out a dark laugh, revealing the cold truth that there are no innocent civilians present in this room. The hostage suddenly stands up and rips off her disguise, revealing the pink hair of the traitorous Dong Menglin. Shock washes over Changyi as Momo identifies the girl as her very own former apprentice. Butterfly takes pride in the revelation, boasting that Menglin has moved on to a far superior mentor. The villain praises the young girl's acting skills, noting that the entire kidnapping was a staged performance designed to lure them in. Butterfly checks the metrics of the stream, delighted to see they have reached a massive audience of 400 viewers. Menglin begins reading the toxic comments aloud, highlighting how the underground community is mocking Momo's status as a master. Momo listens in silence as the digital crowd calls her a fraud and claims she doesn't deserve her legendary title. Changyi looks at her partner with newfound empathy, realizing these insults mirror the harsh treatment she receives from her own colleagues at the station. She wonders if even a legend like the Master of Thieves is forced to endure being an outcast among her own kind. Butterfly continues her verbal assault, claiming that Momo has never truly been accepted or respected by her peers. Satisfied with the psychological damage dealt, Butterfly and her crew prepare to leave the duo to their fate. Menglin casts one final, cold look at her former master before following Butterfly out of the room. Left alone in the quiet hideout, the officer and the thief remain tied together in a test of their endurance. The heavy door slams shut with a definitive sound, locking them inside the trap. Changyi stares at the empty camera tripod, struggling to find the right words after the intense public humiliation. She asks Momo if she is truly hated by the entire thief community as much as the comments suggested. The officer notes Momo's usual cheerful demeanor and asks if the constant ostracization ever makes her feel depressed. Changyi reflects on the pain of being rejected by one's own circle, her gaze softening with genuine concern. Momo looks away, her expression hardening as she refuses to let the insults break her spirit. She proudly declares that the opinions of commoners mean nothing to her and that her own self-worth is all that matters. Momo quickly changes the subject, insisting that they must shift their focus toward an immediate escape. She reveals that she had the foresight to send their coordinates to Commissioner Chun as a safety precaution before they entered. Momo explains that the complex binding method used on them was actually one of her own designs, meaning she knows exactly how to undo it. Changyi looks over her shoulder with a questioning glance, sensing that the escape attempt will require some difficult physical coordination. A chibi Momo teases the officer, correctly guessing that Changyi is already feeling embarrassed about the close contact required. Blushing intensely, Changyi suggests they should just wait for the commissioner's rescue team to arrive instead. Momo counters that waiting for rescue will only lead to more mockery from the police force and allow Butterfly to vanish. Reluctantly, Changyi agrees to the plan, telling Momo to just get the technical process over with as fast as possible. The officer turns her head away, her face flushing red as she prepares for the awkward but necessary maneuvers to break their bonds. The sun beats down on the towering skyscrapers of the city, where a high-stakes game of cat and mouse has taken a turn for the worse. Momo sighs, realizing their current predicament is far more troubling than she initially anticipated. As they sit bound back to back, Momo suggests a tactical pause to wait for reinforcement, much to Changyi's frustration. Refusing to wait, Changyi begins to struggle against the tight bindings, ignoring Momo's warnings about the complexity of the knots. In the close confines of their technical restraint, The tension between the master thief and the rookie officer becomes palpable. Momo breaks the tension with a ridiculous, puckered expression, teasing the flustered officer. Changi snaps back, critiquing Momo's unprofessional attitude during such a dire situation. Suddenly, Changi's focus shifts as she realizes they aren't as alone as they thought. Standing over them is Menglin, the apprentice who turned her back on her master to join the enemy. With a cold gaze, Menglin questions if this humiliating defeat is really the legacy Momo wanted. Momo maintains her composure, cryptically explaining that this isn't captivity, but a different type of fun for her. Menglin remains unimpressed, her loyalty to the Face Changers gang already set in stone. Reaching into her tactical gear, the apprentice retrieves a sharp folding knife. She tosses the blade onto the floor, providing a small chance for her former teacher to escape. Declaring this a final repayment for years of training, Menglin turns her back on Momo for good. Momo watches in silence, her eyes reflecting the weight of her student's departure. Outside, a sleek white SUV pulls up to the perimeter of the hideout. Inside the vehicle, Captain Chun Wuxi grows increasingly anxious after losing contact with her officer. Stepping out of the car, Chun spots a pink-haired figure exiting the building with suspicious haste. The two pass each other in a brief, silent moment of recognition before the girl disappears. Chun's instincts flare as she watches the mysterious girl walk away into the city. Entering the room, the captain is met with a sight she never expected to see. Changi frantically tries to explain the situation as she scrambles for the knife on the floor. Without a word, the captain grips the thick ropes with her bare hands. With a display of monstrous physical strength, she snaps the restraints like paper, leaving both Momo and Changi in awe. Changi quickly alerts her superior about the pink-haired student who has sided with the thieves. Chun realizes the girl's familiar face too late, prompting Changi to beg her to sharpen her memory. The team regroups, determined to track down the apprentice before she vanishes. Momo remains confident, knowing that her student is likely headed toward the next phase of the heist. Under the cover of night, Menglin speeds through the city streets on her motorcycle. Behind her tattered helmet, the young thief prepares to prove herself to her new allies. In the pursuit car, Momo explains that Menglin has always been drawn to those she perceives as the most powerful. Changi and Chun listen intently as they navigate the nighttime traffic. Momo reveals she had strictly forbidden the girl from committing any independent crimes until her graduation. Chun feels a slight sense of relief, knowing there might still be a chance to save the girl from a life of crime. The chase leads them to the airport, where a massive jet prepares for departure. In the shadows, a flame flickers as someone prepares for the final getaway. Menglin waits by gate 10, her bike parked and ready for a quick escape. Changi and Momo arrive on the scene, scanning the area for any sign of the Face Changers crew. The rookie officer looks toward the horizon, steeling her resolve for the final confrontation. Changi turns to Momo, remembering the time she let the thief slip through her fingers at the train station. She offers her hand, proposing that they work as true partners to finally close this case. A subtle smile plays on Momo's lips, signaling her agreement to the alliance. In a sudden shift, Changi carries the petite master thief like a piece of luggage to speed up their movement. Nearby, Menglin is forced to dismount when her motorcycle suddenly malfunctions. Frustrated but determined, she decides to kickstart her solo career by targeting the next person she sees. She checks her gear, unaware of who is approaching her from behind. The bike refuses to start, leaving the young thief stranded right as her plan should be unfolding. A car pulls up alongside her and Captain Chun leans out to offer a helpful ride. Menglin sees a perfect mark, not realizing she's about to step right into the captain's trap. In a surreal twist, the narrative shifts to a stylized heroic flight across the screen. Changi corners Momo in a high-stakes standoff, demanding her immediate surrender. The scale of the operation is revealed to be massive, involving fighter jets and a full military blockade. Even surrounded, the master thief remains playful, hiding behind a colorful mask. She tosses the mask aside only to reveal another, mocking the officer's attempt to identify her. Changi watches in confusion as Momo performs a rapid-fire sequence of mask changes, turning the arrest into a performance. A white sedan sits parked outside a motorcycle repair shop under the night sky. Chun and Momo watch as the mechanic inspects the engine trouble. Chun explains the convenient find while Momo questions the captain's unexpected strength. Noticing a lapse in attention, Momo eyes the bag left inside the vehicle. With a thief's precision, she unzips the pocket and extracts a small item. Momo hides her prize behind her back just as the mechanic finishes the job. The spark plug issue is resolved, leaving the bike ready for the road. Chun offers a pack of cigarettes as a professional courtesy for the assistance. Momo prepares to depart, but Chun stops her with an unexpected proposal. The captain offers to use her police contacts to help Momo find steady work. Momo politely declines the career help, citing her own professional path. Chun watches her leave, unaware she just tried to recruit a master thief. Speeding away, Momo wonders exactly what kind of loot she managed to snag. She pulls over to the side of the road to inspect the stolen goods. The ID reveals she just picked the pocket of a major crimes captain. At the airport, Changi presents her credentials to security to begin the hunt. The staff leads the duo toward the main announcement office for the terminal. They arrive at the broadcast room to execute Momo's high-stakes plan. Changi worries that a loud announcement will only tip off their target. Momo counters by explaining the ultimate strategy of any true professional thief. She takes the mic, intent on making the target come directly to them. In a nearby restroom, One of the disciples finally removes her stifling mask. The twins complain about the mask and their master's overpowering perfume scent. They notice the fragrance has changed lately, just as a voice fills the room. The girls freeze in place as Momo's voice booms over the airport speakers. The face changer is stunned to realize Momo has tracked her location. Momo confidently claims to have uncovered a secret the master kept from everyone. She threatens to expose the signature tool, unless the thief meets her. Panic sets in for the face changer as a 10-minute ultimatum is issued. With the broadcast done, Changi asks for a technical definition of a signature tool. Momo explains that it is a fundamental concept used by specialized thieves. She compares the various thief specialties to athletes in different sports. Every seasoned professional eventually perfects a unique tool for their trade. Changi listens to the breakdown of how skills are honed over time. Momo suspects the face changer's tool is more than just a simple mask. She theorizes it involves a complete and total overhaul of one's appearance. Changi turns the inquiry back on Momo, asking out her own secret tool. Momo teases that such sensitive information requires a very high price. She playfully suggests a friendly exchange of gestures for the secret. Changi quickly shuts down the antics to maintain their professional focus. Suddenly, the officer spots a familiar sight among the traveling crowd. She grabs Momo to point out the twin disciples lurking nearby. The twins appear to be operating independently of their master. The duo decides to split up to cover more ground effectively. The disciples feel abandoned and fear their master's secrets are leaking. They decide to go rogue and stop following orders from their mentor. Momo realizes that without her team, the face changer is vulnerable. Following a sharp trail of scent, Momo enters a quiet utility area. She finds the target collapsed on the floor, seemingly out of commission. Momo contacts Changi while observing the thief known as Butterfly. She remains confident that the old thief's reign is finally coming to an end. The pair pushes through the dense crowds of the morning rush hour. They stay in close proximity to ensure they aren't separated by the mob. The tight space forces them together as they navigate the busy terminal. An elevator arrives, and the commuters begin to file inside. They step in, maintaining a strictly professional formation within the cramped lift. A young student shouts with all her might for the perpetrators to stop right there. Two bullies are caught mid-act, shamelessly shaking down a smaller student for his lunch money. A young Changi proudly displays her student patrol ID, citing a direct violation of the school code. The bullies look confused, claiming they've never even heard of such a patrol group existing at their school. They dismiss her with a crude insult, but Changi's gaze turns cold as she prepares for a physical confrontation. She leaps into action with a fearless flying kick, determined to take on both boys at once. Back in the present, Momo explains over the phone that they've confirmed the face changer uses a modified full-body suit as their signature tool. Changi sprints through the airport terminal, keeping the line open to receive more vital intel. Momo drops a bombshell. Based on the mechanics of the disguise, the face changer is almost certainly a man. She explains that the thief world is a strictly patriarchal hierarchy, where men manipulate young girls into becoming their disciples. It is traditionally forbidden for female masters to take disciples, meaning any high-ranking thief would have to be male. Changi realizes that if he discarded the suit, he'd be out in the open, yet there's no major commotion in the terminal. Momo asks her to think about where someone could hide themselves while trying to smuggle their way out of the building. The realization hits Changi instantly. The thief is heading for the luggage pickup area. She shifts her direction immediately, racing toward the baggage carousels. Momo stops her for a moment, curious about why a master thief like Changi ever let herself get caught by the police in the first place. Changi admits that she remembers the thief asking that very same question before. Momo suspects that the thief world must have been a truly awful and oppressive place for her to endure. She suggests that Changi chose prison just to be away from the corruption and the rotten industry of professional thieves. Changi declares her new mission: to use her experience and her position as a cop to smash that industry to pieces. Momo smirks, noting that if the industry collapses, she'll be out of a job, which is music to the officer's ears. As the call ends, Momo can't help but do a little excited dance at the thought of Changi's intense resolve. At the baggage claim, a maintenance worker claims he saw a suspicious man running toward the back earlier. Changi follows him into the restricted area, stating she needs to inspect every piece of luggage in the vicinity. She theorizes that the thief might have tried to steal a traveler's clothes from a bag to create a new disguise. Suddenly, her eyes lock onto a specific piece of evidence sitting out in the open. She finds an open suitcase filled with various tools, wires, and discarded electronics. As she leans in to examine the contents, she fails to notice the worker stepping up directly behind her. The man grips a heavy metal wrench, his knuckles white with intent as he prepares to strike the unsuspecting officer. With glowing red eyes, he prepares to knock her out, intending to steal her face for his next high-stakes disguise. Meanwhile, the sun sets over the Boho City Police headquarters as the investigation continues. Captain Chun receives a text from Changi confirming she's found the face changer's general location and is requesting backup. The officers at HQ discuss the progress, noting that their team is finally closing in on the master thief. Some officers express doubt, reminding Chun that Changi's previous attempt at the train station ended in a public failure. Chun remains silent, her fingers pressed against her chin as she weighs the situation. She looks up with unwavering confidence, firmly believing in her subordinate's unique capabilities. Chun acknowledges the past mistakes, but insists that Chang-yi is the type who never gives up until the job is done. Another officer recalls her own impression of Chang-yi from a long time ago when they were younger. A flashback shows Chang-yi as a student, literally biting and punching bullies to protect others in the name of justice. Even when beaten to the ground by larger opponents, the young girl refuses to stay down. Her face is bruised and bloodied, but her eyes burn with an indomitable spirit that refuses to break. Later that day, she stands her ground with a broom held like a staff, repeating her mantra that no bullying is allowed. No matter how many times they push her back, she blocks their path with sheer, stubborn willpower. The bullies are genuinely weirded out, wondering what kind of dark arts keep her fighting back despite the odds. One bully loses his temper, lunging forward to teach the weakling a final, painful lesson. The blow lands hard against her head, sending a shockwave through her small frame. Despite the pain, she tells him that being weak is no excuse for him to bully someone else. She vows that whether it takes tens or hundreds of times, she will make him regret his actions every single time. Back in the present, the heavy wrench is caught midair by a firm, unwavering grip. The maintenance worker stares in total shock as Chang-yi easily stops his surprise attack without looking back. She turns her head and looks him dead in the eye, officially identifying him as the face changer. A photo on a phone shows a selfie of the two women enjoying ice cream together at an amusement park. Another picture captures them sharing a meal at a restaurant, though Chang-yi looks strictly professional. A third selfie shows them at the movie theater, with Chang-yi maintaining her usual stoic expression. Momo wonders aloud why Chang-yi's eyebrows are always so tired from constantly brooding. Sitting on a park bench, Chang-yi explains that maintaining a serious face for professionalism has simply become a habit. Their conversation is interrupted by a scream for help as a thief zips by on a motorcycle. Without hesitating, Chang-yi delivers a devastating flying kick that knocks the thief clean off his bike. She returns the stolen property to the grateful victim while Momo watches her partner work. Chang-yi offers a rare, gentle smile after successfully handling the sudden emergency. She apologizes for the interruption to their day, but Momo is just ready to head home and rest. They make their way through the busy subway station as the day finally winds down. On the train, Momo dozes off, leaning her head against Chang-yi's shoulder for support. Chang-yi looks down at her sleeping companion with a soft, protective gaze. She reaches out and carefully takes Momo's phone from her lap while she's still unconscious. Momo stirs slightly in her sleep, completely unaware that her phone is being handled. Once they exit the station, Chang-yi hands the phone back, claiming it almost fell on the floor earlier. Momo takes the device back, looking slightly suspicious of the sudden interaction. She notices something different about the interface as she activates the screen. To her surprise, she finds that Chang-yi has set their amusement park selfie as the new lock screen wallpaper. The clock on the phone screen ticks past 21:34, signaling that time is running out for the fugitive. Momo strides through the airport terminal, confident that her partner has already cornered their target. Outside the station, a group of disgruntled veteran officers congregate near a patrol car, complaining about a certain airhead rookie. They dismissively mock Chang-yi's competence, questioning when she'll realize she isn't cut out for high-stakes police work. Overhearing their insults, Momo's expression hardens into a look of cold disdain for the arrogant men. She walks past them with a sharp glance, already formulating a plan to teach these slowpokes a lesson in humility. Before the officers can react, Momo swiped their badges right out of their pockets, taunting them to make a move. She playfully dangles a pair of stolen handcuffs before their eyes, her smile radiating pure mischief. With a sudden burst of energy, she kicks off the ground and maneuvers toward the rooftops, perched high above them against the moonlight. She challenges the fuming veterans to a game of cops and robbers. Back at the baggage claim, Chang-yi maintains a firm grip on the face changer, preventing any chance of escape. She explains with clinical precision how she deduced his location by monitoring his movements from the very start. The thief's eyes widen in realization as he figures out that Momo must have been the one to sell him out. He snarls a warning, claiming that a traitor like Momo will eventually turn her back on the police as well. Seeing an opening, the face changer tears himself away and attempts a desperate sprint for freedom. Chang-yi doesn't flinch, her eyes narrowing as she calculates the trajectory for her next move. She locks her gaze onto the center of the fugitive's back, refusing to let her prey slip away. With a professional flick of her wrist, she launches her handcuffs through the air like a guided projectile. The metal restraints whistle through the terminal, spinning with incredible velocity toward their target. The thief looks back in pure shock as the heavy rings fly past his head at blinding speed. With a thunderous blam, the handcuffs slam into the wall, pinning the criminal's clothing and stopping him dead in his tracks. Chang-yi stands over the apprehended thief, flatly stating that Momo is nothing like the corrupt criminals he's used to. A flashback reveals Momo effortlessly weaving through the crowd while the senior officers stumble over their own feet. Momo looks back with a smug grin, proving that these veterans couldn't even make her break a sweat. Chang-yi asserts that by every professional metric, Momo is far more deserving of the title master than any of them. She defends her partner's honor, declaring that Momo's dedication outshines even the most seasoned veterans. Suddenly, a young officer with glasses and blue-streaked hair approaches the scene. Backup arrives just in time to take custody of the restrained face changer. The newcomer introduces herself as Kai Lanlan, a first-year rookie assigned to the Major Crimes Division. Changi studies her face, realizing this is the same officer who had been observing her earlier in the day. Curious about the girl's intuition, Changi asks how she managed to find the exact location of the ambush. Lanlan explains her logical deduction regarding the thief's need to discard a disguise and find new attire. Changi is genuinely impressed, noting that the new generation of recruits possesses a terrifying level of intellect. Lanlan modestly looks away, admitting that while she has the ideas, she lacks the physical prowess to execute them. She looks at Changi with sincere admiration, claiming the senior officer is the one truly qualified for elite duty. Changi blinks in surprise, momentarily caught off guard by the rookie's heartfelt praise. A ringing phone interrupts the moment, and Changi politely steps aside to take the call. On the other end, Captain Chun stands in the command center, ready for a status update. Changi reports that the suspect is in custody and is currently being escorted away by the backup team. However, the captain has urgent news, revealing that Momo has caused a massive disturbance over at Gate 10. At the gate, Momo leads a pack of furious, badgeless officers on a high-speed chase through the airport. Changi finally arrives at the scene, calling out to the troublemaking thief to end the charade. She beckons Momo toward her, signaling for the master thief to return to her side. The senior officers are left panting and empty-handed, completely humiliated by Momo's agility. Momo joyfully leaps into Changi's space, bragging about how easy it was to follow her tactical advice. The veteran officers catch up, their faces flushed with rage as they confront the duo. They loudly accuse Momo of being a prolific criminal who must be carrying even more stolen contraband. The men demand a full search, insisting it is their duty to recover the stolen police property immediately. Momo offers them a final, taunting challenge. If they can even touch her once without her moving her feet, they win. Changi remains silent for a beat, her gaze shifting toward the aggressive men. Before the veterans can step forward, Changi suddenly extends her arm, physically bearing their path. She firmly declares that Momo is under her personal jurisdiction and warns the men to keep their hands to themselves. Momo is left absolutely stunned, her face turning bright red as she realizes she's been officially claimed by her partner. Changi steps forward, asserting her authority as Momo's official handler to the veteran officers. Momo remains bundled up in the background, a blurry figure of frustration while the argument heats up. Changi stands her ground, reminding the men that protocol requires a female officer to conduct any necessary body searches. Momo leans in with a smug grin, taunting the veterans by claiming they aren't skilled enough to even touch her. She playfully clings to Changi, insisting that only her favorite officer, Cutie Pie, is allowed near her. Changi tries to maintain her composure as Momo makes scandalous-sounding jokes about their previous professional interactions. Suddenly, a shadowy figure with glowing glasses looms over Momo, ready to begin the search by removing her jacket. The force of the encounter sends Momo tumbling to the ground in a heap of winter gear. As the mysterious officer lands with a heavy thud, Momo looks on in genuine surprise. Momo realizes she couldn't even sense the newcomer's approach until she was right on top of her. The glasses-wearing rookie, Kai Lanlan, adjusts her frames while apologizing for just following her senior's orders. Seizing the moment of distraction, Momo aims her signature grappling hook gun into the night sky. The metallic claw shoots upward with a sharp clack, securing a line for her escape. The veteran officer shouts in fury as Momo zips away, accusing Changi of failing to control her prisoner. Changi chases after her through the city streets, calling out Momo's name under the glow of the streetlights. She scans the empty crosswalk, wondering where the elusive thief could have vanished so quickly. Changi finally spots Momo crouched behind a fence, preoccupied with a stray white cat. Momo nonchalantly chats with the feline, wondering aloud if the cat is already falling for her charms. Changi approaches calmly, telling the thief she has a serious question to ask her. Momo continues her cat-like behavior, meowing back instead of giving a straight answer about the alleged theft. Deciding to trust her gut, Changi suggests they simply head back to the apartment for the night. Momo looks back in disbelief, stunned that a police officer would trust her word without a thorough search. The master thief stares intently at her handler, touched by the unexpected level of faith being shown to her. Changi explains her reasoning, noting that petty airport pickpocketing simply isn't Momo's high-class style. A small, satisfied smile plays on Momo's lips as she realizes her professional standards have been recognized. The moment is cut short when the Major Crimes Unit finally catches up to their position. Without hesitation, Momo readies her grappling gun once more to ensure their quick departure. She wraps her arms around a startled Changi, inviting her to hold tight for a ride on Master Thief Airlines. The pursuing officers reach the spot only to find nothing but empty pavement where the duo stood. The veteran leader looks around in total confusion, unable to fathom how they disappeared in under a minute. Kai Lanlan stands silently in the street, watching the night sky with a thoughtful expression. High above the city, Momo carries a terrified Changi through the air, giving the cop a true taste of the master thief experience. The scene shifts to the Boho City Police headquarters as a new day begins. Changi points to herself in shock after receiving a surprising new assignment from her superior. Captain Chun Wuxi explains that since Changi caught the face changer, she's the best person to interrogate him. The captain reassures her that there's a strategic reason for this choice beyond just stepping on veteran toes. Changji listens intently as she's told the goal is to extract information about a potential copycat. The heavy door to the interrogation room stands ready for the high-stakes questioning to begin. Changji confronts the face changer about the technology behind his appearance-altering suits. Sitting across from him, she realizes the criminal is confident that his secrets are safe within his own mind. Meanwhile, at a hidden laboratory, two young women begin packing up the face changer's illegal equipment. They boast about how these specialized tools will help them climb the ranks of the criminal underworld. Their celebration is cut short when a dark, rope-wielding figure suddenly appears behind them. Back in the interrogation room, the face changer warns that his tools might attract a much more dangerous mystery. One of the students is instantly neutralized, struggling against a tight binding as she gasps for air. The other girl panics, demanding to know who this silent ambusher is and why they're being attacked. A mysterious blue-haired woman looks down coldly, asking if they haven't been keeping up with the news. Changji processes the realization that there is someone out there actively mimicking Momo's every move. The stranger stands tall over her captives, declaring herself as the true successor and the next master thief. Captain Chun wastes no time, demanding the results of the face changer's interrogation the moment Changji steps into the room. Changji presents her notes, confirming she has successfully extracted the coordinates for the criminal's secret hideout. Sensing a need for discretion, Changji leans in to discuss the sensitive matter of the master thief's copycat in private. Chun listens intently on the stairwell, agreeing to dispatch a recovery team before the copycat can strip the hideout of its assets. The captain notes a shift in her subordinate, praising the rookie for the newfound confidence she's displaying in the line of duty. Changji reflects on her growth, realizing she no longer feels the weight of pursuing justice entirely on her own. A vision of a supportive Momo flashes in her mind, a reminder that she finally has a capable partner she can truly rely on. Chun interrupts her thoughts with a surprise request, stating the department requires Changji's specific expertise for an upcoming task. Out in the courtyard, a confused Momo arrives looking for her partner, only to find the captain waiting for her instead. Momo listens as Chun explains that the public's perception of the police has skyrocketed following their recent success. To capitalize on the momentum, Chun proposes that Momo and Changji star in a high-profile anti-pickpocketing promotional video. While Momo is hesitant about her public image, Chun reveals her true motive is to help Changji advance her technical skills. The captain asks Momo if she's willing to take the rookie under her wing as a mentor during the production. Meanwhile, inside the station, Changji is practically glowing with excitement at the prospect of a special assignment. Her obsession with professional attire reaches a fever pitch as she imagines herself in a prestigious major crimes uniform. Chun watches the rookie's eccentric behavior from a distance, acknowledging that while Changji is a powerhouse, she remains a bit unpredictable. The captain knows that for Changji to reach the next level, she must master the precision and flexibility that only Momo can teach. Changji prepares to change for the shoot, unaware that a blue-haired recruit is watching her every move from the doorway. Momo and Chun observe the interaction, curious about the source of the uniform Changji is about to wear. They learn that a dedicated new recruit has personally provided the attire just to see Changji shine. The mysterious recruit, Kai Lanlan, lingers in the hallway with an intense focus on the changing room. Her eyes lock onto the discarded uniform that Changji has just set aside on the rack. Lanlan reaches out with a trembling hand, her fascination with the rookie officer taking a bizarre turn. In a display of extreme dedication, Lanlan deeply inhales the scent of the fabric, identifying it as Changji's own. The recruit is completely lost in the moment, her eyes wide as she performs a secret technique of observation. Momo suddenly bursts in, catching the recruit red-handed in her highly unprofessional behavior. The master thief doesn't hold back, calling out Lanlan for her strange and obsessive actions. Lanlan remains unfazed, boldly claiming her level of dedication far exceeds anything Momo could imagine. The focus shifts back to the professional atmosphere of the staff-only area. Changji emerges looking sharp in the borrowed uniform, thanking Lanlan for the professional courtesy. Lanlan maintains her focus, insisting that such a high-tier uniform is the only thing that fits Changji's heroic track record. As Lanlan continues to shower her with praise, Changji begins to feel the pressure of the high expectations placed upon her. Touched by the genuine admiration, the rookie officer starts to feel a sense of pride in her accomplishments. She realizes that her dedication to the force has truly inspired the next generation of officers. Seizing the opportunity, Lanlan asks if she can take a quick photo to commemorate the professional milestone. Before Changji can even process the request, Lanlan begins rapidly capturing images from every possible angle. The rookie finds herself swept up in the excitement, her initial hesitation melting away as the camera continues to click. Changji loses herself in the spotlight, striking dynamic, heroic poses as she fully embraces her image as a defender of justice. Feeling more confident than ever, Changji hands over her own phone to ensure the moment is captured perfectly. Mid-session, Lanlan drops a heavy question, asking about the nature of Changji's professional relationship with the master thief. Changji's heroic posture falters as she considers the complex bond she shares with Momo. Lanlan recalls seeing Changji defend the thief at the airport, questioning how two people on opposite sides of the law can be so close. Outside the door, Momo and Captain Chun are caught eavesdropping, eager to hear how Changi defines their partnership. The captain keeps a steady hand on Momo, making sure they stay hidden while the conversation continues. Changi stares at her reflection, carefully weighing her words before responding to the inquisitive recruit. She begins her explanation by stating that there is a clear misunderstanding regarding her motives. Changi asserts that, as an officer, she maintains a strict professional boundary and would never truly cross the line with a criminal. Momo's expression softens as she listens through the door, hearing the conviction in her partner's voice. Changi continues, explaining that her time working with Momo has revealed a depth of character that the public never sees. With a slight blush, she admits that she might be the only person capable of truly understanding the woman behind the thief's mask. Momo listens intently to the admission, her heart heavy with the weight of Changi's unexpected sincerity. Leaning against the wall, Momo realizes that Changi doesn't just want to be her handler, she wants to be a true partner. Two hands seal a solemn promise with a firm gesture of mutual respect. Chun Wuxi and Momo walk away together, having established a new level of professional camaraderie. Meanwhile, Changi explains to a colleague that her relationship with Momo is strictly a partnership. She is mortified to learn that Momo has been listening to the entire conversation from the shadows. Overwhelmed by embarrassment, the rookie officer bolts out of the room to avoid further confrontation. Changi strides down the hall, desperately trying to regain her composure as a professional officer. Her focused gaze suddenly shifts as she notices suspicious activity in the distance. Looking toward the parking lot, she spots a familiar vehicle being tampered with. It's the pink-haired thief she encountered before, lurking near the captain's car. The girl is carefully taping a police badge back onto the driver's side door. Changi immediately confronts her, readying her handcuffs for an arrest. She tosses the restraints toward the girl, who begins pleading for her freedom. The officer remains unmoved, staring down the suspect with an icy, no-nonsense expression. Changi firmly escorts the apprehended thief through the headquarters for questioning. She warns the girl that stealing from the captain is a mistake she'll soon regret. A memory of Captain Chun's legendary reputation as a powerhouse combatant flashes by. Changi illustrates just how easily the captain could handle a dozen amateurs like her. Terrified by the description, the thief desperately asks for a quick bathroom break. Changi stands guard outside the stall, demanding that the suspect hurry up. Inside, the girl uses a secret technique to expertly pick the lock on her handcuffs. Changi opens the door to check on her, only to realize something is very wrong. The thief strikes with lightning speed, catching the officer off guard. She slips out of her own shirt and makes a break for it, leaving the rookie holding empty restraints. A heavy sense of impending doom fills the air as the officer's patience finally snaps. Changi emerges from the shadows with a terrifying intensity, holding the broken bathroom door. Elsewhere, Momo remains calm and observant, oblivious to the chaos unfolding nearby. Chun Wuxi finds her in the children's play area, suggesting it's the best place to wait for Changi. Momo settles onto a toy horse, feeling slightly out of place in this designated waiting zone. The quiet atmosphere of the headquarters remains undisturbed for only a moment longer. Changi suddenly bursts onto the scene, shouting for the captain's immediate assistance. She presents the discarded clothing as evidence of the thief's daring escape. The frantic rookie pulls Chun toward the exit, eager to initiate a high-speed pursuit. The two officers step out into the sunlight to begin their search of the perimeter. While Chun looks for tracks, Changi demonstrates her agility by scouting from above. The captain suggests they split up to cover more ground efficiently. Chun heads for her vehicle while the rookie continues her stealthy surveillance. Settling into the driver's seat, Chun maintains a subtle, knowing smile as she starts the engine. She reveals that the pink-haired thief has actually been hiding in the backseat all along. The girl stares up in shock, realizing she's trapped with the very person she feared most. Outside, the afternoon breeze rustles through the nearby trees. Chun steps out of the car, acknowledging that the badge has been returned and the debt is settled. The thief hesitates, pointing out that a cop shouldn't be helping a criminal escape. Chun listens intently, her gaze focused on the young girl's conflicted expression. The thief puts up a defensive front, claiming her total disdain for the police force. She even attempts to intimidate the captain with a clumsy martial arts stance. Without breaking a sweat, Chun calmly reaches out and secures the girl's hands. She pulls the thief closer, challenging her to back up her bold words with actual technical skill. Chun Wuxi offers a sincere apology for the sudden confrontation, but the pink-haired thief is far from amused. The thief declares she's leaving and warns that there won't be a second chance for such games. As she turns away, a sharp glint in her eyes suggests she's already plotting a sneaky retaliation. Chun remains perfectly composed, watching the young woman retreat into the city skyline. Suddenly, the thief lunges backward with a powerful kick, hoping to catch the captain off guard. She pours every ounce of her strength into the strike, her face contorting with the physical effort. The impact feels like hitting a solid wall of steel, leaving the thief clutching her throbbing foot in total agony. Slumped on the ground and blushing with embarrassment, she tries to deny that she was attempting to show off her skills. She explains that the criminal underworld is already buzzing about the master thief, working with the police. Limping away, she tells Chun to stop wasting time on a low-level nobody like her. Chun steps forward to block her path, refusing to let the injured girl walk away in that condition. Without a word, the captain lifts her into a firm bridal carry, insisting that her actions prove she's anything but irrelevant. A warm, Genuine smile breaks across Chun's face as she expresses her desire to get to know the thief better in the future. The pink-haired girl is left completely stunned, her face turning a deep shade of crimson from the unexpected kindness. Resigned to the help, she directs Chun toward the nearby university, while being carried toward the car. Elsewhere, Officer Changji fumes with frustration over her failure to secure the suspect earlier that day. She clenches her jaw, feeling a new sense of duty and potential rising within her heart. A surge of blue energy seems to radiate from her as she vows to hunt down every villain in the city. Her intense focus is shattered when an unexpected hand reaches out to touch her shoulder from the shadows. Startled by the sudden contact, Changji wheels around in a state of high alert for an ambush. It's just Momo who playfully leaps onto her back to demonstrate a beast-style tiger fist maneuver. Momo teases her about the special spot Chun reserved for her at the police station. It turns out that spot is the children's play area, where Momo has taken a liking to a wooden rocking horse. As night falls over the city, the two professionals continue their patrol through the quiet streets. Changji marches forward with an annoyed expression, while Momo trails behind, dragging her new toy along. Mo notices the heavy atmosphere and studies Changji's face with a discerning, quiet gaze. Sensing the scrutiny, the rookie officer begins to sweat under the pressure of her own anxious thoughts. Momo lets out a loud shout to break Changji out of her negative mental spiral. Changji confesses that she is feeling the weight of her professional failures from earlier that morning. She explains that she needs to prove her worth to the veteran officers who doubt her abilities. For Changji, there is no room for error if she wants to be recognized as an outstanding officer. Momo leans in to explain that Changji's aggressive energy actually makes it easier for thieves to avoid her. As her partner, Momo offers to help her level up her technical skills to match her physical intensity. They head back to an apartment building to begin a rigorous night of specialized training. Momo demonstrates her elite agility by navigating through a complex grid of red yarn lasers. She moves with effortless grace, showing how a master thief bypasses high-tech security systems. Momo notes that with the right training, Changji's natural athleticism could reach Olympic levels. Though she's nervous, Changji steals her resolve and prepares to take on the difficult obstacle course. A mere minute later, the officer is hopelessly entangled in the red strings and unable to move. Refusing to be discouraged, she demands that they move on to the next technical drill immediately. Momo sets up a shell game with paper cups to test Changji's visual acuity and tracking speed. The cups move in a blur, leaving Changji's eyes spinning as she struggles to keep up with the movements. Changji confidently points to the center cup, only to realize the keychain was under the right one the whole time. Frustrated by the trickery, she insists on a task that relies more on spatial awareness. Momo demonstrates a blind toss, explaining how top-tier thieves mentally map their targets in a 3D space. Changji's attempt goes wide, and her growing irritation at the failure starts to boil over. She hangs her head in defeat, baffled by how difficult these basic thief techniques actually are. Momo encourages her to stay positive, reminding her that Captain Chun sees immense potential in her. Changji decides that if she can't win at finesse, she will rely on her primary strength in a fight. She challenges Momo to a direct test of close-quarters combat to settle the score. Momo accepts the challenge with a confident smirk, ready to put her defensive skills to the ultimate test. The moon hangs high over the building as the two prepare for a grueling sparring session. During the intense grappling match, Changji's tactical gear is cast aside to allow for better range of movement. Momo skillfully maneuvers through the exchange, explaining how she uses her opponent's own stamina against them. Momo's phone lights up with a frantic emergency alert right in the middle of their tense training session. She quickly taps out a cheeky reply, telling the sender she's currently busy looking after her favorite officer. The screen flashes with a dire warning that a wave of rival thieves is closing in on her location with full gear. Momo catches the rookie officer in a moment of raw vulnerability, noticing the tears welling up in her eyes after their spar. She respects the officer's wish for space, turning to leave the room with a quiet click of the door. The heavy silence fills the hallway as the door finally shuts, leaving the rookie to her thoughts. Changji's mind races with fantasies of what a supportive and attentive partner should actually be doing right now. Under the pale glow of the moon, the hidden dangers of the night begin to surface across the city. Momo meets her young contact under the bridge, where a bag full of tactical gear is already waiting. The pink-haired thief reveals she's brought everything from flashbangs to smoke screens for the coming battle. Momo notes a change in the girl's demeanor, seeing a softness that wasn't there before their encounter with the captain. She can't resist teasing her pupil about her growing admiration for Officer Chun's refined character. The rookie thief is overcome with dramatic guilt, feeling as though she's betrayed her profession by falling for the law. Momo dismisses the need for weapons, confidently heading into the fray to handle the thugs with nothing but her own skills. The master thief reflects on the irony of her student finding a connection with a police captain. She decides to walk into the danger alone, determined to keep her officer partner far away from this underworld mess. Momo invites her pupil to stand back and witness a true master in action as the enemies approach. Unbeknownst to her, Changyi is watching from the shadows, her eyes fixed on the unfolding confrontation. With a sudden burst of speed, Momo slams the first attacker into the railing with bone-shattering force. She towers over the defeated thug, mocking their naive belief that a master thief could be so easily taken down. Surveying the field, she notes with a smirk that they didn't bring nearly enough men to stop her. Momo pins a man down with her foot, demanding to know who orchestrated anticipated this desperate ambush. Suddenly, a heavy grappling hook tears through the air, narrowly missing its mark as she shifts her weight. The criminals reveal their motive, fueled by a deep-seated grudge over Momo's recent alliance with the police. Changi listens from the shadows as the underworld paints a target on the thief's back for being a traitor. She realizes with a shock that the criminals are blaming Momo alone for the arrests they made together. A mob of B-class criminals rushes forward, fueled by a murderous intent to end the master thief right here. Momo stands her ground, her expression turning cold as the first wave of the mob reaches her. She delivers a rapid-fire sequence of strikes, dismantling the thugs with technical precision. With one final, brutal movement, she slams an attacker's head into the concrete to end the skirmish. Momo flashes a confident peace sign, lamenting how lonely it feels to be at the top of the food chain. She catches her breath over the pile of bodies, thinking the night's work is finally over. Out of nowhere, a razor-sharp projectile whistles through the darkness with lethal speed. The master thief twists her body mid-air, barely avoiding a direct hit to her vitals. The hidden blade manages to graze her leg, leaving a stinging trail of blood behind. She realizes the attacker has no presence because it isn't human, but a mechanical puppet controlled from afar. The surviving thugs boast about their secret weapon, certain that this technological advantage will be her undoing. Momo's mind flashes to a dangerous A-class criminal known for utilizing these exact types of killing machines. Momo's eyes widen in genuine surprise at an unexpected voice calling out her name from the bridge. Changi charges onto the scene with her handcuffs ready, refusing to let her partner fight alone against such odds. The rookie officer stands tall, her face set with a grim determination to provide backup. Blood drips from Momo's fresh wound, a stark reminder of the danger they are both facing. Changi's gaze hardens as she sees the injury, her resolve to protect the thief strengthening. She points an accusing finger at the mob, declaring that they will have to go through both of them now. The lead thug ignores her warning, already marking the officer as the next target on his list. Momo signals to her student in the shadows, telling her it's time to step up and help. Changi offers the pink-haired thief a deal, promising to drop the investigation in exchange for her assistance. The master thief pulls her pupil close, whispering a secret instruction into her ear. Momo commands her to take the officer to safety, while she stays behind to neutralize the remaining threats. Changi struggles against the pink-haired pupil's grip, desperate to jump into the fray to save her partner. The pupil holds firm, insisting that a master thief like Momo doesn't need help with these low-level amateurs. Stunned by the sudden resistance, Changi realizes she's being forcibly kept out of the battle. The pupil offers a quick apology for the rough treatment, while the sounds of the brawl echo through the night. With a sharp, focused gaze, the pupil tells the officer to simply watch and witness Momo's true power. Momo stands her ground, casting a confident look back toward Changi as she prepares her counterattack. She playfully asks the officer to be her sole audience for the demonstration of her elite skills. Digging her toes into the pavement, Momo prepares to launch her first specialized movement. Her high-tech jacket suddenly inflates into a massive sphere, activating the devastating pufferfish impact. She barrels into the crowd like a wrecking ball, sending the underworld thugs flying in every direction. As an attacker attempts a venom hook from above, Momo instantly shrinks her gear to evade the strike. She immediately transitions into her second technique, channeling a surge of electricity through her equipment. The charging mobster is hit with a high-voltage discharge that leaves him twitching on the ground. Changi watches in awe as the defeated criminal hits the floor with a heavy thud. The rookie officer realizes that her concern was misplaced. Momo isn't just surviving, she's dominant. Momo leaps back into the air, unleashing a buy, wet, one free combo on the remaining targets. Observing the gap in their abilities, Changi admits that she is nowhere near the master thief's level of expertise. Feeling redundant, Changi turns to depart the bridge while the pupil looks on silently. The pink-haired thief remains behind, her eyes fixed on the retreating officer. Sensing an opening, the thugs realize that Momo's versatile abilities all stem from her specialized blue jacket. They rally together, screaming for everyone to rush her and strip the signature tool away. Momo simply smirks at their desperate strategy, completely unfazed by the incoming mob. She mockingly offers to give them the jacket, beginning to pull it off her shoulders. Instead, she launches her fourth technique, the dinosaur simulator, hurling the heavy gear with explosive force. A thug tries to catch the projectile, only to be crushed by its unexpected and massive weight. The force of the impact pins him instantly, leaving him gasping in total shock. With a final, effortless pose, Momo completes her off-screen KO, as the remaining enemies are blasted into the sky. Reverting to her bubbly self, Momo looks around for Officer Cutie, only to find the bridge empty. The pupil informs her that she was too busy showing off, causing the sidelined officer to leave in frustration. Later that night, Momo stands outside Changi's apartment complex, hesitating at the entrance. She paces nervously on the sidewalk, finding this social encounter more stressful than a heist. To her surprise, Changi is already there, waiting by the door with a professional and calm demeanor. Momo tries to explain herself, hoping they can still team up to take down A-level criminals in the future. Changi cuts her off by kneeling down, insisting on carrying the injured thief up to the room. Momo is momentarily stunned by the officer's sudden display of care and protective resolve. She eventually hops onto Changi's back, unable to hide a small blush as they head inside. Once in the safety of the apartment, Changi immediately grabs a first aid kit to address the knight's injuries. She focuses intently on the technical task of bandaging Momo's leg wounds. Momo watches with a playful expression, clearly enjoying the personal attention from the officer. She begins pointing out other minor scratches, gesturing toward her neck to keep the officer's focus on her. Changi looks up with a weary sigh, seeing through the master thief's constant attempts to tease her. Maintaining a strictly professional tone, the officer instructs Momo to go use the bathroom and take a shower. When Momo asks if she can stay the night, Changi simply tells her to bring a pillow, signaling the end of the discussion. Momo's face lights up with pure joy as she realizes she's successfully secured a place to stay. A young Changi sits in somber silence, her face covered in bandages as she endures a stern lecture about her habit of jumping into others' fights. Her mother stands firm across the kitchen, demanding a promise that she will stop risking her safety for people who weren't even the targets. With a heavy heart and a gaze fixed on the floor, Changi reluctantly gives her word to stay out of trouble. Back at school, the memory of her struggle against bullies still hangs heavy over the campus courtyard. 3 classmates approach her, claiming they hate the bullies just as much and want to join her crusade for justice. For the first time, a bright smile breaks across Changi's face as she believes she finally has true allies. She enthusiastically declares them the founding members of the school's new patrol unit. However, the dream is shattered when the boys lure her into a trap, trading her safety to the bullies just to keep their own lunch money. Changi stands frozen as the people she trusted turn their backs, leaving her to face the mockery of the school's worst elements. A single tear wells in her eyes. The harsh truth is hammered home. She is alone, and no one will ever have her back. Through the pain of betrayal, she clenches her fists, vowing that one day she will find a partner who truly understands her mission. In the present day, a crescent moon shines over the quiet city as the weight of the past lingers in the air. Inside the apartment, Changi tries to maintain professional boundaries, relegating a bundled-up Momo to the floor for the night. Momo won't give up easily, singing a pitiful song about being unloved to guilt-trip her way onto the bed. Unable to handle the dramatic display any longer, Changi finally sighs and gives her permission to move up. Momo instantly loses the act, lunging onto the bed with enough energy to startle the wary officer. The two settle in, lying back to back as the initial chaos of the night begins to fade into a quiet truce. Momo listens quietly, her expression softening as she senses a shift in Changi's mood. Changi stares at her own hand, frustrated by her perceived helplessness during the recent encounter with the thugs. She turns to face her partner, her eyes filled with a new resolve to bridge the gap in their technical abilities. Momo teases her, playfully suggesting that a master thief doesn't provide specialized training without a proper incentive. Changi takes the bait, her expression turning serious, as she prepares to offer up personal data to build their partnership. Momo mentions her own birthday, recalling the date of June 27, 1997, as they begin to share their histories. Changi stares back, realizing she is now answering all the personal questions she ignored when they first met. She lists off technical details like her blood type and favorite color, while Momo carefully logs every piece of information. The officer continues her report, detailing her regional background and even her preferences in traditional cuisine. She leans in, asking if this exhaustive list of personal data is enough to satisfy the requirements for the training. A deep blush creeps across Changi's face as Momo presses for one final, highly personal detail about her past. Flustered, Changi abruptly ends the conversation, turning away to hide her embarrassment. Outside, the night remains still as the two continue their playful bickering about the terms of their upcoming training. In the corner of the room, the faint glow of a computer screen provides the only light in the growing darkness. Seeing that her partner has finally drifted off, Changi leans over and whispers Momo's name into the quiet. She watches the sleeping thief closely, her gaze lingering on the person who has upended her orderly life. Changi realizes just how exhausted Momo must be after the grueling battles she fought earlier that day. In the safety of the night, Changi finally whispers the answer she was too shy to give out loud. The production crew begins filming the anti-theft campaign as the director calls for the scene to start. Officer Q demonstrates the proper way to restrain a pickpocket, maintaining a professional focus for the cameras. She transitions into a public safety briefing, warning citizens not to confront A-class criminals on their own. Watching from the sidelines, Lanlin decides to snap a photo of the cool-headed officer to commemorate the moment. Suddenly, Momo leaps into the frame, completely ruining the serious shot with a chaotic photobomb. Lanlin sighs and immediately hits delete on the ruined image. She tries for another shot, but only captures Momo looking distracted while answering a phone call. A quick scroll through the gallery reveals a series of equally useless, high-energy outtakes of the blonde thief. One particularly ridiculous close-up shows Momo making a wild, exaggerated expression at the lens. The final attempt results in nothing but a blurry, foggy mess on the screen. Momo approaches Lanlin, exhaling a heavy breath after her antics. Lanlin remains strictly professional, questioning why Momo is playing around instead of assisting with the investigation. Momo simply gives a playful gesture before heading off to join the rest of the team. Once the filming wraps, Changi prepares to head to her next assignment. She declines to keep the uniform on, noting that her upcoming agility training is bound to get messy. Changi sprints toward the training course, her footsteps echoing against the floor. She pushes off the ground, attempting a high-speed leap over the security lasers. Her momentum fails as her foot catches a beam, triggering a mistake in the drill. She hits the ground, frustrated that her technical skill still isn't where it needs to be. Lanlin arrives at the scene, realizing this rigorous obstacle course is the training Changi mentioned. Seeing a fellow officer struggle, Lanlin offers technical tips on landing and limb control. She explains the physics of the drill, stressing that the body must move as a single, unified unit. Lanlin steps up to demonstrate the exact pathing required to clear the grid. With effortless grace, she weaves through the lasers like they aren't even there. She reminds Changi that the key is focusing on the pre-planned route rather than the distractions. Momo steps in to assist, catching Changi as she nearly loses her balance during the next attempt. While they work, Momo shares new intel regarding the mysterious puppets found at the office. She suggests they slow the pace down to focus on perfecting muscle memory through repetition. Momo carefully guides Changi's hand, showing her the exact movement required for the maneuver. They discuss the ventriloquist, an A-class criminal known for creating these specialized weapons. Momo stabilizes Changi's posture, keeping her from falling during the complex movement. From a distance, Lanlin watches their interaction, her analytical mind carefully observing the scene. She notes that Momo's movements are far too advanced for a rookie, marking her as someone to watch closely. Back on the course, Changi refocuses her mind on the path through the laser grid. She charges back into the drill, visualizing her body as a unified force. Her foot plants firmly, narrowly avoiding a tripwire that stopped her before. Though she wobbles slightly, she fights to stay upright and complete the run successfully. Changi is puzzled, wondering how the ventriloquist's tools are active if the man himself is behind bars. Momo continues to assist with her form while pondering the mystery of the signature weapon. Changi realizes that the criminal must have students or underlings operating on the outside. Momo confirms that they have the green light to investigate the suspect at the prison. She gestures for them to move out, ready to get to the bottom of the case. Changi hesitates, asking to continue the training session for just a little while longer. Lanlin observes the duo's dedication as they refine their techniques one more time. Lanlin prepares her notes, satisfied with the data she's gathered from the session. The team arrives at the Boho City Central Correctional Facility to meet with their suspect. Momo suggests they divide the tasks once they are inside the facility. As they enter, Lanlin remains deep in thought about the true identity of the puppet maker. Changi and Momo keep a close watch as a mysterious woman is led out of the correctional facility by an officer. Momo points a sharp finger toward the woman's right sleeve, alerting Changi to a vital clue. A focused shot shows the frayed fabric and scuff marks on the girl's sleeve, evidence of heavy manual labor. Momo offers a knowing smile, confirming they'll be sticking to their standard tactical approach for this investigation. The woman walks down a lonely, shadowed street later that evening, completely unaware she's being followed. She gasps in surprise as two men suddenly block her path, cornering her against the brick walls of the alley. The thugs aggressively demand she return to her workshop to produce a superior grade of combat puppet for them. One man looms over her threateningly, his face twisted in a sneer as he demands she answer him immediately. They mock her silence, assuming she's just a strange girl who is unable to speak for herself. The girl lets her small doll do the talking, using the puppet to firmly refuse the thug's demands. Speaking through the doll, she explains that she hasn't slept in days due to the grueling workload they've already imposed. The thugs lose their tempers, reminding her that her father's safety in prison depends entirely on her compliance. They threaten to have their brothers, on the inside, torment her father if she doesn't cooperate with their gang. Fear and sorrow wash over the girl's face as she contemplates the very real danger her father is in. Her hand trembles as she reaches for the handle of the van, forced into a corner by their cruel threats. The criminals smugly direct her into the vehicle, certain that their intimidation has won the day. Their triumph is short-lived when they find Momo casually waiting for them inside the van, flashing a peace sign. Momo leans out the door and questions their constant need for conflict, appearing completely bored by their predictable thuggery. Changi suddenly strikes from above, delivering a powerful blow that sends one thug reeling backward. The rookie officer follows up with a rapid-fire series of punches, showcasing how much her combat speed has improved. Changi wastes no time in snapping the cold steel of handcuffs onto the defeated criminal's wrists. Momo looks on with approval, noting that these thugs were the ones forcing the girl to create weaponized puppets. The girl stares in wonder at the two women who just saved her from her aggressive captors. She uses her doll to ask if they are really police officers who can protect her father from the gang's influence. Changi gives a confident nod, assuring the girl that they have a full grasp on the situation and are there to help. Changji prepares to call for backup to take the suspects away, but she is interrupted by a familiar voice. Lanlin appears out of the darkness, startling her teammates with her perfectly timed and stealthy arrival. Momo looks slightly annoyed, wondering why Lanlin stood by and watched while they did all the heavy lifting. With a playful grin, Lanlin claims she simply didn't want to ruin Changji's big moment to shine in battle. Lanlin offers to handle the busy work of transporting the prisoners so the others can continue the investigation. Changji and Momo agree to the plan, heading off with the girl while Lanlin takes charge of the two thugs. Lanlin stands alone for a moment, her analytical mind already calculating the next steps of the case. The scene shifts to the girl's apartment building as night falls over the quiet city streets. Inside, a mechanical puppet moves with an eerie grace, carrying a tray of drinks for the guests. The wooden servant places the tray down with a loud mechanical clack on the patterned floor. Momo leans in with genuine curiosity, amazed that the girl managed to build such a complex machine by herself. The girl explains that she and her doll are co-creators, though Momo wonders if it's a split personality. The doll quickly clarifies that she is simply the girl's only friend, since she stopped speaking as a child. Outside the window, the moon hangs high as the mechanical doll continues its automated duties in the flat. The puppet assistant steps forward again, serving the visitors with flawless mechanical precision. Momo takes a glass from the tray, still fascinated by the high level of craftsmanship on display. They gather around the table, the atmosphere filled with a mix of wonder and investigative focus. The girl remains quiet, letting her doll explain the long years of isolation she has endured as an inventor. Momo shifts the focus to the thugs, asking if they were indeed the former underlings of her father. The doll reveals that the men were former subordinates of the ventriloquist, who turned on her after he was jailed. Momo laughs off the idea that a mere puppet could ever hope to defeat a master thief like herself. The girl looks up, her eyes flashing with a sudden, intense pride in her technical legacy. She stands up abruptly, her movements becoming sharp and purposeful as she approaches the seated Momo. Without a word, the girl reaches out and activates a hidden pressure point on the back of the chair. Momo is caught completely off guard as the chair suddenly transforms, pinning her arms down firmly. Changji watches in disbelief as Momo finds herself immobilized by the girl's masterfully designed mechanical trap. The doll proudly declares that the girl is the true successor to the infamous A-class criminal, the ventriloquist. She warns them to never underestimate her craft again as the scene cuts to Lanlin escorting the thugs. One of the thugs glares at Lanlin, underestimating her because of her unassuming rookie appearance. He subtly reaches for his bindings, convinced that he can easily overpower a small officer with glasses. The criminal tries to act pathetic, begging Lanlin to let them go just this once with a fake promise to change. When Lanlin refuses to budge, the thug attempts a desperate and violent escape, forcing her to react. Lanlin stoically retrieves her discarded glasses from the pavement, while the criminals attempt to flee the scene. The two thugs sprint deep into the dark, narrow confines of the urban alleyway to lose their pursuer. They spin around in a sudden panic, shocked to find that the officer has already cut off their only escape route. Standing perfectly still, Lanlin calmly recites the specific police regulations that justify the use of force against resisting suspects. With no security cameras to witness the encounter, she prepares to deliver a physical lesson in cooperation. Under the pale glow of the moon, the tension at the apartment complex reaches a dangerous breaking point. Lin Shang fiercely defends her father's criminal legacy, warning the duo not to underestimate the successor of the ventriloquist. Momo maintains a confident smirk, completely unfazed by the young girl's technical threats or her lineage. In a sudden professional blur of motion, the master thief lunges toward her target. Momo successfully disarms the girl, snatching the mechanical ventriloquist puppet right out of her hands with ease. While Lin Shang panics over her lost tool, Changji remains focused on the critical mission data displayed on her phone. Changji confirms to the group that the exact location of the enemy hideout has been successfully identified. Momo playfully teases the young successor by keeping the puppet just out of her desperate reach. Changji begins to outline a daring infiltration strategy she has dubbed the Trojan Horse. A mysterious call vibrates on a nearby device, signaling that the next phase of the operation is about to begin. Back in the alley, Lanlin pins the lead thug down, while she provides a status update to her team. She leans in close, demanding that the suspect keep their specific line of questioning a total secret. Standing over the defeated criminals, Lanlin demands the truth regarding Lin Sheng's connection to the A-class criminal. She presses for information on whether the girl is truly capable of building a tool to defeat the master thief. The battered thug can only stare in disbelief at how much the officer has already deduced about their plans. Lanlin's silhouette looms over him, her gaze remaining cold, analytical, and professional. Back at the apartment, Cheney explains the plan to use a specialized equipment box as a decoy for their entry. A mental visualization shows the duo bursting from the container to take the criminal hideout by surprise. Lin Sheng agrees to the terms of the plan, promising to craft custom puppets as a gesture of professional gratitude. Changji offers a word of encouragement, telling the girl that how she uses her unique abilities is entirely up to her. The young girl is momentarily speechless at the unexpected invitation to become a technical consultant for the force. She looks down shyly, processing the weight of the officer's offer to change her life's direction. Lin Sheng uses her puppet to extend a formal pinky promise to seal their new professional partnership. Changji reciprocates the innocent gesture with a smile, cementing their alliance for the upcoming mission. As the duo departs, Lin Sheng watches them leave while quietly referring to the officer as Officer Cutie. The girl retreats back into her home, clutching her puppet as she reflects on the life-changing encounter. Momo questions if trusting the daughter of a high-level criminal is a sound strategic move. Changyi explains that her philosophy on trust was shaped by a very influential person from her past. Momo's eyes widen with curiosity as she tries to guess the identity of this mysterious mentor. Changyi keeps the secret close to her chest, playfully leaving her partner to figure it out on her own. An old photograph reveals a younger, lonely Lin Sheng sitting isolated on a playground sandbox. Lin Sheng gazes at the childhood memory, a look of profound sadness crossing her face in the quiet room. The sudden creak of a door catches her off guard, sparking an immediate sense of dread. A group of sinister men suddenly surrounds the girl, declaring their intent to take the puppet princess back to their base. One of the abductors reports successful capture over his phone, ensuring the room remains quiet. The thugs anticipate that the master thief and the lady officer will soon be looking for trouble. A member of the Yin-Yang twins confirms they are fully prepared to handle any interference from the police. The older twin introduces a mysterious copycat who has been tasked with neutralizing the master thief personally. Later, Changji expresses her clear frustration when her partner arrives late for their scheduled meeting. Momo attempts to smooth things over with an energetic apology, but the officer maintains her stern professional demeanor. In a lighthearted attempt at reconciliation, Momo plants a quick, innocent peck on the officer's cheek. She repeats the playful gesture, ignoring Changji's loud protests regarding proper workplace conduct. Momo wraps her partner in a high-energy embrace, determined to win her over with sheer persistence. Eventually, the two walk away together, their hands meeting in a gesture of mutual support and friendship. Though covered in the marks of the chaotic apology, Changyi smiles, declaring the peacemaking mission a success. Changyi's eyes widen in shock as Lanlin frantically reveals that Lin Sheng was snatched away under the cover of night. Lanlin gestures wildly, explaining how the broken locks and security footage proved a mysterious group forced the girl into a car. While Lanlin vents her frustration on a nearby board, Changji remains silent, processing the gravity of this abduction. Determined to find a lead, Changji announces she's going to scour Lin Sheng's home for any clues the kidnappers might have missed. Upon arrival, the sight of the mangled doorframe confirms that the intruders didn't care about being quiet during their entry. The team steps into a living room turned upside down, where the scattered furniture tells a story of a desperate struggle. Changji's gloved hand reaches down to retrieve a discarded picture frame from the debris on the floor. She studies a nostalgic photo of a young girl at a playground, her mind racing to connect the victim's past to the current culprits. Changji decides their next move is the puppet production site, while her companion offers to prep the vehicle for immediate departure. As the companion walks away to get the car, a heavy silence hangs in the air, thick with unspoken tension. Lanlin narrows her eyes, her sharp instincts sensing that something about the current situation feels fundamentally wrong. Outside, the blue-haired driver waits by the police cruiser, her calm exterior masking a hidden and dangerous agenda. Momo leans back in the passenger seat, sensing the driver's intense gaze and asking if there's something specific she wants to say. The driver admits she's been harboring deep suspicions about Momo's true identity ever since their first encounter at the airport. She leans in close with a piercing look, demanding they stop the charade and lay all their cards on the table. Recalling Momo's flawless navigation of a high-tech laser grid, the driver points out that such moves are the trademark of a professional thief. The driver wears a knowing smirk, waiting for the girl with the glasses to slip up and reveal her secret. Momo looks up with a defiant glint in her eye as the driver flatly accuses her of being a master criminal. Momo lets out a soft, dismissive chuckle, teasing that the driver has a very vivid and overactive imagination. The driver shifts gears, claiming that she is the one who is actually a legitimate officer of the law. She asserts that her natural talents for infiltration and observation rival even those of a legendary prodigy. Annoyed by the arrogance, Momo challenges her to a one-on-one spar to settle who the real expert is. The driver dismisses the offer, claiming she has no time for games while Changyi is waiting for them upstairs. Suddenly, the driver pulls out a mysterious booklet, using it as a high-stakes bargaining chip to catch Momo's interest. It's a rare, hand-compiled photo album of Changyi's days at the police academy, a prize Momo finds impossible to resist. The driver begins dropping the precious photos on the pavement, luring Momo out of the car like a trail of breadcrumbs. Focused entirely on the limited edition collectibles, Momo crawls along the street, completely oblivious to the trap being set. The trail of photos leads directly to the edge of an open, gaping manhole in the middle of the road. In a flash, Momo tumbles into the dark abyss, realizing too late that she's been completely outplayed by her rival. The driver slams the heavy iron cover back into place with a loud bang, coldly wishing Momo final rest in peace. Back at the scene, Changi looks around in confusion, wondering why their master thief has suddenly vanished from the area. The imposter, disguised as a fellow officer, claims Momo is unreachable and urges Changi to proceed without her. Maintaining her perfect disguise, the fake Momo argues that keeping the girl away from the mission is actually for her own safety. As they drive toward the danger zone, the imposter warns that bringing a civilian could lead to a tragic outcome for everyone. Deep underground, the real Momo seethes with rage, cursing the fact that she fell for such a simple and effective trick. The imposter continues her psychological manipulation, convincing Changi that the mission requires a more capable partner. She flashes a confident smile while steering, asserting that she is the only one fit to stand by Changi's side. Changi stares straight ahead, her face a mask of professional focus as she listens to her partner's reasoning. However, her sharp eyes catch something out of place. A single strand of blonde hair resting on her own uniform. A chill runs down Changi's spine as she realizes the person sitting next to her might be a dangerous intruder. Changi and Lanlan arrive at a dilapidated residential block that has been completely overtaken by a dangerous den of thieves. Lanlan checks her device with a furrowed brow, growing increasingly tense as her calls to Momo go unanswered. Sensing the danger, Changi instructs Lanlan to hold the perimeter while she prepares to infiltrate the building alone. Miles away, Momo stares at her phone in disbelief as she receives a cold, automated message stating the recipient is unavailable. She wanders through a sun-drenched park, wondering why her favorite officer has suddenly stopped picking up her calls. The silence is shattered when Lanlan finally answers, prompting a shocked Momo to demand how the officer obtained her private number. Lanlan strides through the woods with icy composure, advising the master thief to stop wasting her energy on useless attempts to reach the team. She reveals that the police modified Momo's phone before her release, giving Lanlan the authority to restrict her communications and end her pestering of Changi. Lanlan admits that while they both admire the rookie officer, her own devotion exists on a far more intense and professional level. A chilling smile crosses Lanlan's face as she claims her connection to Changi is deeper than anything Momo could imagine. She recalls a formative moment from their academy days, watching Changi's unwavering stance on justice during a rigorous training session. To Lanlan, that relentless pursuit of righteousness is the single most alluring quality the officer possesses. Momo stands frozen in the park, forced to listen to Lanlan's condescending lecture about the nature of their bond. Refusing to be intimidated, Momo fires back with a blunt and unfiltered admission regarding her intense physical appreciation for Changi's form. Lanlan is momentarily stunned into a stony silence, completely caught off guard by the thief's brazen honesty. Recovering her composure, Lanlan snaps back, asking if Momo thinks her obsession is a joke or if she is simply hiding behind a facade. She adjusts her glasses with a sharp glint in her eyes, questioning if Momo merely views the officer as an idealized idol to be worshipped from afar. Momo's thoughts drift to a memory of her playfully embracing Changi, vowing to be a source of support rather than another burden on the officer's shoulders. The connection suddenly cuts out, leaving a confused Kibi-style Momo staring at her dead screen in total bewilderment. Back at the hideout, Lanlan dismisses the entire conversation as a trivial waste of her time. A startled thief emerges from the shadows, demanding to know how an officer managed to track them to their secret location. Lanlan doesn't hesitate, her boots thundering against the concrete as she launches into a high-speed pursuit. Changi rounds the corner just in time to see a terrified criminal stumbling toward her in a blind panic. The man screams for help, claiming that a crazy woman is ruthlessly hunting down everyone in the building. Before he can escape, he is violently slammed into the floor, silenced by a crushing blow from the shadows. Lanlan stands over the unconscious man with a cold stare, informing Changi that she has successfully neutralized the local threat. Changi looks at the blood splattered across Lanlan's uniform, her voice filled with a mix of concern and growing suspicion. Ignoring the blood, Lanlan maintains a professional focus, stating that the remaining thieves have already confessed to Lin Sheng's location. She turns her back to Changi, noting that this successful rescue will be a massive boost to the officer's rising career. Changi remains silent, her eyes narrowing as she realizes her partner's behavior is becoming increasingly erratic. Finally, Changi confronts her, accusing Lanlan of intentionally blocking Momo's attempts to make contact. She brings up the blonde hair found in the car, demanding the truth about Momo's current whereabouts. Lanlan looks back with a darkened expression, warning Changi that she shouldn't let anyone come between their professional partnership. She vents her frustration, revealing that she enrolled specifically to be by Changi's side and protect her from the veterans who refuse to acknowledge her talent. Lanlan promises that with her technical help, Changi will capture even more high-profile criminals and become the police force's greatest star. Changi cuts her off with a stern voice, addressing her as Kai Lanlan to signal that she has crossed a serious line. With a piercing gaze, Changi demands that Lanlan stop her interference and allow Momo to contact her immediately. In the park, the silence is finally broken by the familiar ringtone of Momo's smartphone. Momo is visibly stunned to see Changi's name on the screen, wondering how the communication block was suddenly lifted. Her excitement returns in full force as she takes the call, promising to rush to the provided address with renewed motivation. Momo sprints away, her heart racing at the thought that her officer cutie was actually worried about her safety. She beams with pure joy, feeling that her entire day has been redeemed by this single gesture of care. Meanwhile, Lanlin sits alone in the dimly lit stairwell, looking small and defeated in the wake of the confrontation. She broods over the rejection, unable to comprehend why Changyi would prefer the company of a thief. Changyi's harsh words echo in her mind, reminding her that putting someone on a pedestal only creates suffocating pressure. The officer's admission that she only finds true relief when she is with Momo hits Lanlin like a physical blow. Lanlin regrets her haste, realizing that by revealing her obsessive nature too soon, she has compromised her position. She clenches her hand over her face in the darkness, placing the entire blame for Changyi's lapse in judgment on Momo. Leaning heavily against the metal railing, Lanlin is consumed by a toxic jealousy that threatens to boil over. Her eyes glow with a predatory light as she stares into the void, her mind twisting the situation to a dark new resolve. Lanlin stands tall in the shadows, fully committed to removing any obstacle that stands between her and her idealized version of the officer. Lin Sheng slowly blinks her eyes open, struggling to wake from her forced slumber. Changyi stands firmly before her, reassuring the captive that she is finally safe. Overwhelmed with relief, Lin Sheng looks up at her rescuer with tear-filled eyes, seeing a true savior. The officer's gaze falls upon a dangerous prototype weapon resting on the nearby workbench. Lin Sheng explains the dark history of the device, a legacy left behind by her father that the kidnappers forced her to complete. Changyi listens intently, noting that for the first time, the young woman is speaking with her own voice instead of through a puppet. Realizing she has dropped her guard, Lin Sheng is momentarily stunned by her own sudden social confidence. Changyi offers a warm, encouraging smile, proud of the progress the consultant has made. She reminds Lin Sheng that she is the one who gets to define her own identity, not her past. The weight of the world seems to press down on Lin Sheng as she considers the possibility of a new life. A painful memory flashes back to her school days, where she was cruelly labeled a freak for her unique talents. Changyi's expression turns sharp and determined as she shuts down the idea that being different is a flaw. The officer reveals her own past, admitting that she was also an outcast who stood up for justice, even when others mocked her. Despite the labels, she stands tall in her uniform, proof that a freak can achieve greatness as a policewoman. Even the legendary master thief Momo is part of this circle of outsiders who have found their own path. Inspired by these words, Lin Sheng begins to see that the world actually needs people like them to drive real change. The moment is shattered when a thug bursts into the room, demanding to know the status of the weapon. Changyi wastes no time delivering a powerful, moment-interrupting punch that sends the intruder flying. With the first threat neutralized, Changyi instructs Lin Sheng to find cover while she handles the rest of the gang. Lin Sheng watches with a mixture of awe and concern as the officer prepares for battle. She clutches her hands together, mesmerized by the sheer bravery and resolve of her protector. Outside, a group of 8 armed men surround Changyi, confident that they have the lone officer outnumbered. Changyi realizes she rushed in so quickly that she forgot to bring her standard tactical gear. Thinking fast, she reveals a hidden stash of handcuffs, ready to use them in a highly unconventional manner. A confident smirk plays on her lips as she prepares to demonstrate her specialized combat techniques. She lashes out with a solid snake strike, using the connected cuffs like a precision chain whip. Transitioning into a Beyblade spin, she creates a whirlwind of steel that keeps the attackers at bay. The thugs attempt to flee the chaotic assault, but Changyi's focus remains unbreakable. In a move that defies the laws of physics, she uses the momentum to lift herself off the ground like a human helicopter. From her airborne position, she delivers a crushing kick that sends another criminal crashing to the floor. She lands gracefully, her eyes scanning the room for any remaining threats with professional intensity. The gang leader suddenly grabs Lin Sheng, holding her at crossbow point to force a stalemate. He sneers at the officer, revealing his true goal was to hurt the master thief by eliminating her most precious partner. Lin Sheng looks on with a steady gaze, a single tear falling as she realizes it's time to test her secret modification. The villain mocks the irony of the situation, prepared to kill Changyi with the very weapon Lin Sheng built. Changyi remains silent, her expression unreadable as she stares down the barrel of the device. The leader finally pulls the trigger, expecting a lethal shot to end the confrontation. Instead of a forward blast, a projectile pings backward with blinding speed. The criminal screams in agony as the weapon backfires, striking him directly in the eye. Lin Sheng steps forward, explaining that she rigged the mechanism to target the user as a fail-safe defense. Standing tall and defiant, she declares that she alone chooses which side she stands on. The remaining thugs are completely demoralized as Changyi informs them that reinforcements are already on the way. Lin Sheng shares her vision for the future, planning to build specialized armor so she'll never be a victim again. As they walk through the industrial complex, a new sense of freedom washes over the young inventor. Changji looks back with a genuine smile, thanking Lin Sheng for making the brave choice to be an ally. Lin Sheng looks at her with a soft, knowing expression, as if the choice was never in doubt. She hands over the prototype, ensuring the dangerous technology is safely in the hands of the law. Changji secures the weapon, intending to turn it over to Major Crimes for proper disposal. Her thoughts drift back to Momo, wondering where the thief has disappeared to during the chaos. High above on a balcony, a hidden observer watches the scene through the scope of a long-range rifle. Lanlin looms in the shadows, dismissively calling the powerful prototype a mere toy, while keeping her sights locked on the pair below. A mysterious figure with deep blue hair lounges back, casually examining a specialized tool she's added to her collection. She flashes a sharp, predatory grin, clearly enjoying the thrill of her latest acquisition. Officer Q Chenyi stands her ground, facing the thief and her two masked subordinates in the dim light. The two disciples stand ready for combat as their leader mockingly acknowledges the officer cutie standing before them. The thief erupts into a mocking laugh, thanking the officer for the unintended gift of new followers. Chenyi snaps back with authority, exposing the woman as nothing more than a cheap copycat of the legendary Xiaomomo. The imposter simply smiles, unfazed by the accusation and confident in her own skills. She dismisses her followers with a wave, deciding she wants to deal with the officer personally. With a sudden, blurring burst of speed, she lunges forward to close the distance. The thief leans in dangerously close, mockingly admiring the officer's appearance from just inches away. She whispers a cryptic promise, her focus intensifying on the psychological game she's playing. Pulling out a phone, she uses a perfect vocal mimicry of Xiaomomo to relay a false report to dispatch. Chenyi is frozen in shock, unable to believe how perfectly the thief can imitate her partner's voice. Before the officer can react, the thief hangs up and taunts her for being far too slow to stop the trick. Holding the phone high, she challenges Changji to a high-stakes game of cops and robbers for its return. Changji's gaze turns icy as she warns the criminal never to use that nickname again. A pair of boots shifts on the concrete, tensing up for a quick escape. The thief leaps off the building ledge with a daring flourish, leaving the officer behind. Using her oversized jacket as a makeshift glider, she descends gracefully toward the alley below. Changji watches from the rooftop, calculating a strategy to stall the thief until backup arrives. From the ground, the thief waves mockingly, daring the officer to come down and continue the game. Recalling her time with Xiaomomo, Changji realizes that thieves with this much ego thrive on being chased. She adopts a nonchalant attitude, leaning against the railing to signal her complete lack of interest. The thief pauses mid-stride, her confusion growing as the expected pursuit fails to materialize. Changji waves a dismissive goodbye, pretending her shift has simply ended and she's going home. She fully commits to the bait, lounging in a chair with sunglasses and a drink to infuriate the criminal. Behind the lenses, Changji's eyes are sharp, knowing that ignoring a thief's ego is the fastest way to shatter it. Below, the thief stands in the shadows, her pride visibly wounded by the officer's refusal to play along. She begins to shout, bringing up Changji's growing reputation within the criminal underworld to get a rise out of her. The thief hurls insults, calling the officer an irresponsible and lazy failure. She gestures wildly toward the lounging officer, desperate to provoke any kind of reaction. Changji remains perfectly still, allowing the thief to spiral into an increasingly frustrated rant. The imposter challenges the officer's professional integrity, begging to be caught just to prove she's worth the effort. Suddenly, a familiar voice rings out from above, announcing a ridiculous secret technique. Xiaomomo bursts onto the scene, crashing into the thief while riding a literal rocking horse toy. The copycat is stunned into silence by the sheer absurdity and force of the impact. Momo tosses the toy aside, mocking the thief for trying to steal her signature style and technique names. Landing on one knee, Momo admits her own officer impression wasn't enough to fool a pro. The two partners finally reunite, side-eyeing the thief who has been overusing their private nickname. They both erupt in anger, declaring that the name Officer Cutie is strictly reserved for their own use. Standing back to back, the duo prepares to settle the score with the imposter once and for all. Momo leans in to share a quiet theory about the copycat's true identity. Kai Lanlin suddenly appears on the scene, claiming she was delayed by a quick uniform change. Momo gives the newcomer a long, suspicious look, questioning the perfect timing of her arrival. Lanlin offers a wide, innocent smile, seemingly oblivious to the tension in the air. Momo decides to put her suspicions on hold for the moment to focus on the immediate threat. With her resolve renewed, Momo prepares to take down the cheap knockoff and finish the mission. A meager cafeteria tray holds only a small portion of rice and stir-fry. A student explains her lack of funds to the cafeteria worker. Nearby classmates whisper about the girl being targeted by bullies. Young Q Changji listens intently, her expression hardening with concern. The isolated student sits alone at a table with her small meal. She flinches in surprise as someone suddenly approaches her table. Q offers a full meal tray in a friendly exchange for a single bun. Flashback: Q brandishes a broom, demanding bullies return stolen money. She leaps into action despite her stomach growling from hunger. In the present, Momo laughs at the officer's past hunger-fueled heroics. Momo relaxes on a bench, questioning Q's preference for solo intervention. She wonders why Q didn't simply report the incident to the teachers. Q remains silent, reflecting on her internal drive for immediate justice. Tension rises in the industrial alleyway beneath the power lines. Momo unleashes a bizarre flurry of flying dentures at her opponent. She suddenly inflates her body to execute a massive pufferfish impact. Electricity surges through her as she prepares an electric eel boogaloo. The imposter is overwhelmed by the sheer variety of absurd techniques. Momo follows up with a powerful Shoyuri Ken upward strike. The imposter stares coldly, seemingly allowing the hits to connect. Despite the physical damage, the copycat maintains a defiant smirk. She rises from the trash, challenging Momo to reveal her next move. The imposter taunts the original thief for a taste of the real deal. Momo points a finger, mocking the copycat's lack of original creativity. A heavy metal hook slams into the ground between them. The imposter dares Momo to prove her mastery of basic chain hooks. With a confident gaze, Momo prepares to demonstrate the original skill. The combatants scale the fire escapes as the officer watches below. Q recalls her core values while observing the high-stakes duel. Strategist Kai Lanlin confirms that no police backup is coming. Kai explains this is a technical assessment of the master thief's utility. She reveals high-level orders to refrain from direct interference. Q is instructed to stand by and simply watch the combat unfold. The officer watches as Kai prioritizes data collection on her device. Kai emphasizes the strictly transactional nature of their current alliance. A screen records the intense exchange between the two thieves. Kai suggests a silent prayer while Q prepares to break rank. The strategist maintains a cold, analytical focus through her glasses. Q rushes into the fray, choosing her partner over the orders. Momo looks back in surprise at the officer's sudden arrival. The imposter scowls, viewing the rookie as an unwanted amateur. She prepares her dual hooked chains for a lethal strike. A young boy wanders into the alley, clutching a soccer ball. Q firmly grasps Momo's hand to pull her away from danger. The officer apologizes for not being there from the start. Q asserts that the fight itself is her reason for being there. Momo stares in awe as Q takes a protective stance. The imposter suspends the boy midair, forcing a cruel ultimatum. She releases the line, dropping the child toward the pavement. A flashback shows young Momo questioning Q's reckless sense of duty. Young Q explains that waiting for others only leads to inaction. She believes no one should stand by when someone is suffering. Q admits she feels the pain of every victim she sees. Young Momo looks on, finally understanding the officer's burden. She realizes Q is the one truly being tested by reality. Momo dives through the air to catch the falling child. The pair crashes through the industrial structures below. Momo holds the boy safely, having cushioned his entire fall. Momo lies battered in the center of a fresh crater, her energy completely spent after the intense duel. The imposter dives from the rooftops, looking to end the fight with a crushing aerial blow. Reacting just in time, Momo rolls across the pavement as the imposter's kick shatters the ground beside her. Q Changi suddenly sprints onto the battlefield, her voice filled with desperate concern for her partner's safety. With expert precision, the rookie officer catches Momo and maneuvers through a graceful mid-air flip to land safely. Momo quickly recovers her breath, venting her frustration at the imposter's lack of professional combat etiquette. Q holds her partner close, checking for injuries while ignoring the hostile thief looming nearby. The imposter scoffs at the display, reminding them that there are no timeouts or lap pillows in a real contest between thieves. Q's expression hardens into a cold, protective glare that immediately halts the imposter's mockery. Sensing a dangerous shift in the atmosphere, the thief hesitates, her cocky demeanor beginning to fade. Dismissing the encounter as boring, the imposter decides to end the physical confrontation for the time being. A sharp, calculating realization flashes in the thief's eyes as she prepares to depart the scene. She tosses Momo's phone back to the officer, conceding that the good guys won this particular round. Silence falls over the alleyway as Q remains on the ground, shielding the exhausted master thief. Momo lets her guard down, soaking in the quiet moment of safety within her partner's protective reach. She slowly opens her eyes, curious about the sudden, heavy stillness coming from the usually stoic officer. Momo's heart sinks as she realizes that her partner is actually on the verge of an emotional breakdown. Tears stream down Q's face as she apologizes for her perceived uselessness during the high-stakes crisis. Momo immediately sits up, firmly grabbing Q's shoulders to put a stop to the wave of self-doubt. She pulls the crybaby officer into a warm embrace, offering the reassurance she desperately needs. With a determined gaze, Momo promises that they will both continue to grow even stronger as a team. She explains that while she fights for her own sake, Q's true strength comes from her selfless desire to protect others. Q listens in surprise as Momo identifies her empathetic nature as her most powerful professional asset. Memories of Q's past kindness flash by, confirming Momo's belief that her partner is destined for greatness. Momo takes her hands, expressing her hope that one day Q will be the one saving her from danger. Overwhelmed by the sincere praise, Q blushes and tries to hide her mounting embarrassment from her mentor. The officer admits that she can't reach her full potential alone and asks Momo to remain her master. In a sudden burst of gratitude, Q leans forward and gives Momo Momo a quick, appreciative peck on the cheek. The master thief is left utterly stunned, her face turning a bright, comical shade of red from the unexpected gesture. Q quickly stammers an excuse, framing the act as a professional deposit for future training services. Momo regains her composure, looking at the flustered officer with a playful and knowing smirk. She catches Q off guard, returning the gesture with a quick peck of her own to even the score. Momo leans in close, maintaining a strictly technical focus on this new endurance training session. With a cheerful grin, she claims this is all a vital part of the curriculum for resisting master criminals who specialize in seduction. Q looks on, still processing Momo's unconventional and dizzying methods of professional instruction. Finally exhausted from the night's events, Momo rests her head on Q's shoulder and asks to be taken home. The sun sets over the city skyline, signaling the end of their harrowing technical assessment. Meanwhile, the imposter retreats through the urban shadows, far from the scene of the earlier duel. She comes to a sudden halt as a familiar, authoritative figure emerges from the darkness to meet her. Kai Lanlin stares her down with a cold, calculating gaze, clearly unimpressed by the night's results. The thief tries to play it off with a casual wave, but the strategist is far from a joking mood. Kai launches a sudden, lightning-fast strike to test the imposter's defensive reflexes and combat readiness. The thief is nearly overwhelmed by the sheer speed and professional precision of the strategist's movements. Kai continues the relentless assault, demonstrating the massive gap between a mere mimic and a true elite. With a powerful maneuver, Kai slams the thief into the pavement to conclude the rigorous debrief. Standing over her fallen operative, Kai delivers a blunt critique of her clumsy performance and lack of discipline. The thief groans, insisting she was doing her best to replicate Momo's specific combat style and mannerisms. Kai dismisses the excuse, stating that her technical standards for this operation are absolute and non-negotiable. She issues a final, stern warning. Involving innocent bystanders is a line that must never be crossed again. As Kai turns to leave, the thief wonders what the next phase of their complex operation will entail. She asks if she should continue maintaining Momo's persona and speech patterns for the next technical task. Kai looks back with a chilling focus, declaring their ultimate objective is returning Momo to jail. Young Q's voice cracks with frustration as she demands to know why she can't have her way after a long day of helping out. She stands defiantly, listing off every task she completed, from picking up pharmacy meds to hauling heavy grocery bags. Her mother's expression remains stern as she reminds the girl that she's only in second grade and already struggling with her eyesight. The ultimatum is delivered with a firm hand. Phone time is strictly limited to Sundays, leaving the young girl in a silent, disappointed huff. Night falls over the quiet apartment complex, but the air within is thick with a sense of impending dread. Lying awake past midnight, Q clutches her glasses, the temptation to sneak a few minutes on the screen gnawing at her. She convinces herself that one small transgression won't be noticed, planning to ghost through the darkened house to retrieve the device. A sudden, heavy thud echoes through the hallway, freezing the girl in her tracks as her heart begins to hammer against her ribs. She cautiously peeks out from her room, wondering if her mother is still awake or if something much more sinister is happening. In the shadows of the living room, a dark figure moves with practiced, predatory precision, confirming her worst fears. Terror washes over her as the realization hits there is a professional thief inside their home. Years later, the Boho City Police Headquarters stands tall as the setting for a much-deserved victory celebration. Miss Lin takes the stage, her voice filled with genuine gratitude as she recounts Officer Q's heroic rescue during the kidnapping. Q and Kai stand side by side to receive an honorary banner, marking their outstanding service to the community. Captain Chun prepares to commemorate the moment with a photo, but a sudden pause interrupts the formal proceedings. Kai insists that the photo can't be taken until every member of their team is present and accounted for. Q waits patiently, though a flicker of curiosity crosses her face as she wonders who exactly is missing. On the other end of the line, Momo is caught in a frantic rush, trying to balance her secret antics with her current duties. In a bizarre turn of events, Momo is seen finishing up a very feline-like technical task, promising to arrive in mere minutes. She meticulously ensures everything is in order before dashing off to join the official ceremony. The photographer's finger hovers over the shutter, counting down the final seconds for the perfect commemorative shot. The result is a chaotic masterpiece, as Momo dives into the frame with a wild expression just as the flash fires. The ceremony concludes on a high note, leaving Q with a strange mix of pride and bewilderment at her partner's antics. Once the crowds thin, Q catches up to Kai Lanlin, needing to address the professional tension lingering between them. Kai offers a polite smile, suggesting they walk and talk as they finish their shift for the night. Under the soft glow of the streetlights, Q offers a sincere apology for her harsh words during the heat of their last mission. Kai brushes it off with cold efficiency, claiming the past is irrelevant to their current standing as officers. Internally, Q resolves to keep her guard up, knowing she must maintain this facade to investigate Kai's potential ties to the copycat. The conversation turns sharp when the topic of the copycat's identity and skill set is brought to light. Q points out the undeniable similarities between Momo's physical prowess and the elusive thief they've been chasing. She questions if the timing of Momo joining the force is truly just a coincidence or a calculated move. Turning the tables, Q asks why Kai harbors such a deep-seated, personal hatred for Momo. Kai stops in her tracks, the weight of the question clearly striking a nerve she wasn't prepared to expose. With a heavy sigh, Kai reveals the trauma that shaped her. Her mother was a victim of a ruthless thief years ago. In a harrowing flashback, she recalls the night a criminal broke into their home and shattered their sense of safety. She remembers the paralyzing fear of watching her family's most precious belongings being stripped away by a stranger. The ultimate tragedy was the theft of her mother's vital heart medication, a cruel act of negligence that sealed her fate. Kai explains that her life's mission has been to fight against the evil that thieves represent to society. Her eyes harden as she states that criminals only bring misfortune and can never truly be reformed. A sudden, playful meow cuts through the heavy atmosphere, breaking the tension instantly. Momo appears in her kitty persona, oblivious to the drama and ready to be taken home. Q recalls Captain Chun's wisdom about the delicate line between justice and the people who cross it. She argues that even someone with Momo's history can change and find a way to move above that line. Q looks at her partner with hope, wishing Kai could see the potential for redemption in others. Reaching out to offer a comforting pat, Q tries to bridge the gap between them through their shared companion. The moment of peace is shattered when Momo delivers a fierce bite to Q's arm, proving that while people change, certain instincts remain sharp. Under the dim glow of a street lamp, Q expresses her gratitude to Momo for the walk, despite knowing that Kai still harbors deep-seated resentment. As Q begins to walk away, she glances back at her companion, unaware of the complex emotions swirling in the air. Kai watches them go, her mind racing with the conviction that the police will always come to the rescue, even if someone has lost their way. Her expression turns somber as she reflects on the importance of never giving up on oneself, no matter the cost. A sudden, determined smile breaks across Kai's face as she convinces herself that her current path is the only righteous one. Walking through the bustling city crowd, she feels like a ghost haunted by the weight of her own history. She looks down in shame, acknowledging that the mistakes of her past are far beyond any hope of making amends. Her mind drifts back to a painful memory where a man once treated her with a kindness that felt entirely misplaced. A younger version of Kai stares at a mobile phone in shock, realizing she's being forced into a role she never asked for. The man hands her the device with a cold instruction to time the police response, turning a child into an unwilling lookout. She watches him disappear into the master bedroom, her heart sinking as the reality of the crime sets in. Terror washes over the young girl's face as she stares at the countdown on the screen, paralyzed by fear. With a sharp clatter, the phone slips from her trembling fingers and hits the floor. The scene shifts to her childhood bed, where the echoes of her mother's screams and the thief's threats still ring in her ears. She tightly shuts her eyes, trying to block out the memory of the thief's final, aggressive insult. Morning light hits the apartment building, but the atmosphere inside remains chillingly dark. Young Kai stands frozen over her mother's motionless body, the silence of the room louder than any scream. A horrific close-up reveals the grim reality of the tragedy that defined Kai's entire existence. In the present day, Kai clutches her mouth as the physical memory of that trauma threatens to overwhelm her. She is doubled over on the sidewalk, coughing violently as the past and present collide. Leaning against a cold stone pillar for support, she brands herself a useless coward for her role in that long-ago night. She squeezes her eyes shut, comparing her own perceived weakness to the unwavering light she sees in Officer Q. She envisions a younger Q standing tall and heroic, the exact opposite of the accomplice she felt she had become. Seeing Q now as a dedicated officer, Kai views her as the perfect candidate who deserves every success. Behind her glasses, Kai's eyes burn with a new, dangerous resolve to Q's future. She decides that her ultimate destiny is to ensure Q reaches the heights she deserves, regardless of the consequences. The scene shifts to a training facility at night, where the air is thick with focus and determination. A pair of boots sprints across the training floor, pushing for maximum speed. Q dives through a complex web of red training wires, her face a mask of intense concentration. The exercise ends abruptly as Q trips, falling face first onto the mats while Momo watches from the sidelines. Momo rushes over to offer assistance, but Q is already struggling to push herself back up. Kneeling on the ground, Q frustratedly insists that she must conquer her own limitations to become a better officer. Momo watches her with a skeptical look, concerned that Q is being far too hard on herself. Q is startled by a new presence. Noticing a figure standing confidently with hands on their hips, Dong Menglin steps forward, mocking Q's clumsiness and offering a professional demonstration of how it's done. Momo reveals that she was the one who summoned Menglin to provide some much-needed expert instruction. In a display of incredible agility, the pint-sized Menglin weaves through the tripwires with effortless grace. Q is genuinely stunned, unable to believe that the amateur thief possesses such refined physical skills. Menglin sports a confident grin alongside Momo, reminding Q that she has a long way to go to match her flexibility. The moment is interrupted when Captain Chun arrives and playfully restrains Menglin, catching the thief off guard. Q and Momo turn their attention to the captain, who has arrived to discuss the high-stakes copycat investigation. Momo pulls Q aside, questioning what exactly is going through her head during these physical trials. Grabbing Q's arm to get her full attention, Momo points out that the pressure Q puts on herself is her biggest obstacle. Momo explains that focusing on shortcomings only creates a mental block that prevents true progress. She advises the officer to stay calm and keep her eyes on the objective, rather than her own perceived failures. Later that night, the team regroups to analyze the latest breakthroughs in the copycat case. The tension peaks as they reveal that their primary suspect for the internal collaborator is none other than Kai Lanlin. Captain Chun begins documenting the findings while Menglin attempts to make a quiet exit from the professional briefing. Chun stops the group, specifically requesting a private moment to discuss the next steps with Momo alone. Momo looks back at her partner, signaling her willingness to follow the advice and maintain her focus. Under the city lights, Menglin hums a cheerful tune while a frustrated Momo follows close behind. Losing her patience, Momo demands to know how much longer this aimless walk is gonna last. Menglin suddenly leans in, complimenting the blonde highlights in Momo's hair and sending the thief into a flustered panic. Momo tries to maintain her distance, questioning why the officer is suddenly so interested in her personal style. The close proximity is too much for Momo to handle as she becomes overwhelmed by the officer's presence. Fearing she'll lose her cool entirely, Momo makes a desperate break for it and bolts down the walkway. Menglin watches the retreating figure in total confusion, wondering why the girl is always trying to hide from her. Desperate to get her attention, Menglin cups her hands and shouts out the name, Monica, into the night air. The name choice is so wrong that Momo literally skids to a halt, turning back in pure disbelief. Rejoining the officer, Momo berates her for forgetting her name after they've spent so much time together. Momo gets right in the officer's face, challenging her to remember her actual name one last time. Menglin goes into deep concentration, her mind racing through every possible data point to find the answer. With a confident point, Menglin triumphantly guesses Mariko Takada, only to be met with Momo's furious correction. Admitting her memory is a lost cause, Menglin playfully hands over a notebook and asks Momo to write it down. Momo takes the pen and begins to write, still baffled by how someone this forgetful could ever become a captain. As she looks at the officer's gentle expression, Momo's annoyance begins to soften into something more reflective. She stops herself from finishing the note, deciding it's better if the police don't have too many personal details on her. Menglin remains unfazed, telling Momo she can keep the notebook and return it whenever she's ready. The atmosphere shifts instantly when Menglin mentions seeing her again tomorrow at the school. With a bright smile, Menglin reveals she's been invited to the university as a guest speaker for a special seminar. Back at the apartment, Momo finds herself faced with a difficult favor that she isn't quite ready to grant. Just thinking about working with Kai makes Momo grit her teeth in sheer irritation. She tells Q that she'd be willing to help literally anyone else in the world except for that specific strategist. Q listens patiently, then pivots the conversation back to the core issue of helping Kai catch the thief from her past. Looking down with a heavy heart, Q admits that despite Kai's stubborn nature, she believes the girl is good at her core. Q explains that Kai is simply a prisoner of her own trauma, and she wants to pull her back before she loses herself completely. Momo remains silent, clearly moved by the depth of Q's empathy for their teammate. Sensing her resolve, Momo asks why Q is even seeking her approval instead of just going ahead with the plan. Q blushes slightly, explaining that as her one and only partner, she needs Momo to be fully on board. The sincerity is a total knockout blow for Momo, who finds it impossible to say no to such a direct request. Q realizes she might be asking too much and suggests they shift their focus back to the pressing copycat case. Momo watches her partner walk away, the weight of the request still hanging heavy in the room. Night falls over the city building as the tension of the upcoming mission begins to settle in. Momo lies on the floor of the training room, trying to find a moment of peace amidst the chaos. Her eyes snap open as she hears a sudden sound coming from the middle of the room. Q is pushing her limits, attempting to navigate a complex web of training lasers with focused intensity. The exhaustion is visible on the officer's face as she prepares to make another difficult maneuver. Momo watches from the sidelines, amazed that Q is still training this late into the night. She sees the determination in Q's eyes, realizing just how seriously the officer is taking her growth. A misstep sends Q's foot sliding across the floor, marking her 21st failure of the session. Momo springs into action with a lightning-fast power slide, positioning herself to break the officer's fall. Q finds herself safely caught in Momo's arms, looking up at her partner in total surprise. Looking directly into Q's eyes, Momo finally gives in and agrees to help with the Kai situation. Before they move forward, Momo insists that the officer must make her one very important promise. She tells Q that since she is the motivation for this training, she must be the one Q uses that strength to protect. High-tech surveillance takes flight as a Starlight Technologies police drone hovers over the university campus to demonstrate its capabilities. Captain Chun stands tall on the presentation stage, ready to address the students about the future of campus security. The master of ceremonies leans in to discreetly inform the captain that their corporate partner's representative couldn't make it to the event. Unfazed, the MC pivots to the crowd, praising Chun's legendary reputation for taking down high-profile criminals. Chun maintains her humble, professional demeanor, claiming she has no secret techniques beyond a disciplined fitness routine. A sharp electronic beep suddenly cuts through the air, drawing the captain's immediate and sharp attention. Nearby, a massive medium cargo truck has completely stalled, creating a frustrating bottleneck in the middle of the street. Assessing the situation, Chun steps forward to offer her assistance and instructs the man to disperse the crowd for safety. She positions herself firmly against the rear of the 10-ton vehicle, preparing for an impossible feat of raw strength. With a powerful grunt, she heaves the massive truck forward, sliding it effortlessly out of the flow of traffic. Brushing off the dust from her hands, she calmly suggests the driver call for mechanical repairs now that the road is clear. The university students erupt in cheers, completely awestruck by the captain's incredible display of power. Watching from the shadows of a parked car, Dong Menglin remains unimpressed by the public spectacle unfolding outside. Her driver questions why she would pass up the chance to give a speech for her family's massive tech empire. Menglin coldly clarifies that she has no interest in doing free sales work for Starlight Technologies, regardless of family ties. She stares out the window, dismissing the expensive drones as mere scraps of junk compared to the skill of a master thief. A faint, desperate sound from the bushes suddenly breaks her focus and catches her ear. Her eyes widen as she realizes a tiny kitten is in distress somewhere nearby. Ignoring the driver's pleas for caution, the heiress bolts from the car to investigate the source of the noise. High up in the swaying branches of a tree, a small kitten cries out, unable to climb back down. Menglin analyzes the poor creature, worried that it has been abandoned by its mother at such a vulnerable age. Seeing that the students are distracted by the police event, she realizes this is her chance to act without being seen. She reaches beneath her skirt to retrieve a heavy-duty grappling hook she keeps hidden for professional use. With expert precision, the metal hook bites into the wood of a high-reaching limb, scaling the tree in seconds. She reaches out a gentle hand to comfort the frightened animal. The terrified kitten lashes out in a panic, leaving a sharp scratch across the girl's hand. Despite the sting, Menglin remains stoic and focused on the rescue, her face set in a look of grim determination. Meanwhile, Captain Chun interviews local students to learn more about Menglin's true reputation on campus. The girls enthusiastically describe their classmate as the kindest and most helpful soul they've ever met. They recount how she tirelessly raises funds for students in need and pours her heart into school clubs. Chun listens intently as they explain that despite her wealthy background, Menglin is incredibly down-to-earth. The captain's suspicion grows as she ponders why such a perfect student would ever seek out a life of thievery. Safely back on the ground, Menglin checks her wounds and is thankful her vaccinations are up to date. She searches for a place to feed the hungry animal when she notices a mysterious figure standing in the shadows. Panic flashes across her face as she realizes her secret rescue mission has been witnessed by a stranger. She is baffled to find a girl wearing a neck pillow who appears to be snacking on a bag of cat kibble. The stranger ignores the food and stares directly at Menglin, noting her impressive ability to climb such a tall tree. Without any hesitation, the mysterious girl asks Menglin point-blank if she is actually a professional thief. Menglin freezes as the girl points out that her grappling hook is a specialized tool used specifically for high-stakes heists. The stranger reveals she's only there to feed strays and immediately sees through Menglin's student disguise. Seeing no other way to protect her identity, Menglin asks what it will take to keep the girl's mouth shut. The girl answers by hilariously dumping an entire bag of cat food directly into her mouth in a single go. Confused by the bizarre behavior, Menglin asks if the girl is well acquainted with the local stray population. The stranger continues her strange snacking while confirming that she helps the cats around the school regularly. She promises to keep the secret, cryptically mentioning that they are both in a very similar situation. The girl looks up with a knowing smile, revealing herself as a rookie who was recently classified as an A-class criminal. Captain Chun receives a detailed briefing regarding her current investigative target at the university. The intelligence report confirms that the police have gathered all available files on the elusive thief. A smartphone screen glows as a call is placed to coordinate the next steps of the operation. Confident in her plan, Chun confirms she will switch into a civilian outfit to blend in during her investigation. She pauses to wonder if trusting the young student known as the Master Thief is actually a wise tactical decision. Sliding on her sunglasses, she concludes that doubting her allies will only make the mission more difficult. Outside, a police van stands as a silent reminder of the authority backing her move. Stepping onto the campus in a stylish ensemble, Chun emphasizes that mutual trust is essential for a successful partnership. She smiles warmly at her phone, admitting she truly has high hopes for the girl's potential. Meanwhile, Menglin boasts with a confident grin, claiming her skills as an elite thief are strictly first class. A blue-haired rookie watches her skeptically, questioning how a first-class thief isn't even ranked in the A-class files. Checking the police database on her phone, The rookie points out that Menglen's description is nowhere to be found. Menglen defensively argues that being the sole disciple of a legendary master is worth more than any official ranking. The rookie sighs and mockingly accepts Menglen as her senior in the thievery business. Her expression turns intense as she asks for help finding where the stray cats gather on campus. Menglen looks back with a look of pure confusion at the bizarre request. Following through on the favor, Menglen searches the campus grounds until she finds a target. She reaches out to give a stray black cat a gentle, friendly pat on the head. The cat looks incredibly grumpy as it is secured inside a carrier bag. Menglen looks over her shoulder, feeling uneasy about the idea of using animals as tools for crime. Back in the lab, the rookie clarifies that these cats are her most important partners in the field. She explains that her beast tamer persona relies on these felines to act as both distractions and teammates. A somber memory reveals that she is searching for a replacement after her previous cat partner passed away. Menglen recalls seeing the girl earlier and deciding to help her rescue the kitten from a tree. As she hands the animal over, Menglen firmly tells the rookie to ensure the cat is treated well. The rookie gives a cold, clinical look of assurance that the cat's well-being is handled. She observes that the cat is quite healthy and well-fed while Menglen watches her closely. Citing the increased police presence on campus, the rookie decides it is time to part ways. Menglen watches her walk away, noting the girl's strange sense of empathy for stray animals. She is left stunned by the rookie's parting insult, suggesting she isn't cut out for the life of a thief. Standing alone in the courtyard, Menglen processes the weight of the rookie's harsh words. She stomps away in a fit of rage, calling the girl an absolute jerk for being so ungrateful. Suddenly, she catches a glimpse of someone in the distance and stops in her tracks. In a panic, she dives behind a tree to hide as Captain Chun approaches the area. Menglen peeks out from her hiding spot, nervous about being caught by the authorities. She is momentarily distracted by how elegant and mature Chun looks while out of her police uniform. Remaining tucked away, she continues to observe the captain from the shadows of the park. Chun stands calmly in the sunlight, looking around the campus with a focused gaze. Menglen gasps as she realizes the captain's eyes have landed right on her position. Chun breaks into a cheerful wave, having spotted the girl immediately despite her hiding spot. Overwhelmed by the embarrassment of being seen, Menglen covers her face with her hand. Chun suddenly rushes in and pulls the girl into a surprise, friendly embrace. While holding her, Chun notes that Menglen has a surprisingly solid and athletic build. She humorously recalls how her training sessions with Cheney involved similar displays of strength. Chun takes Menglen's hand to lead her away, eager to spend some time together. Menglen looks hesitant, asking if the captain shouldn't be focused on her official job. Chun reveals that she is currently on the clock, investigating a thief known as the Beast Tamer. She explains that this particular criminal is also the prime suspect in several missing animal cases. The captain's expression darkens as she describes the evidence of abuse found on the recovered pets. Chun looks down with determination, vowing to stop the thief before any more animals are harmed. A look of absolute horror washes over Menglen as she realizes she just helped the very person Chun is hunting. Chun and Menglen sprint through the campus grounds, desperately trying to catch the tail end of a thief. Tears well up in Menglen's eyes as she realizes the cat she's cared for 3 years has been stolen by someone she trusted. Overwhelmed by guilt and physical exhaustion, her legs suddenly give out beneath her. Chun immediately catches her, preventing a hard fall onto the pavement. Slumping to the ground, Menglen is crushed by the weight of her accidental complicity in the crime. Chun pulls her into a comforting embrace, promising they will find the animal thief together. She gently guides Menglen through a series of deep breaths to calm her racing heart. After a few moments, Menglen begins to regain her composure under Chun's steady and professional presence. Chun explains that as a captain, she has the authority to pull the school's surveillance footage immediately. Menglen looks up with renewed focus, ready to identify the suspect for the investigation. Chun tells her to wait on a bench while she coordinates the official request with the university administration. Stepping aside, Chun immediately calls for backup to secure the campus perimeter and catch the tamer. While waiting, Menglen realizes she is still holding onto Chun's personal notepad. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she flips open the pages to see what the captain has been recording. She's touched to see that despite the chaos, Chun placed an immense amount of trust in her. However, her expression quickly shifts to one of utter bewilderment at a specific entry in the book. The notebook contains a hilariously bad sketch of her, proving Chun's artistic skills are non-existent. Menglen can't help but laugh, marveling at how such a naive person could be a top police captain. Realizing she needs to look out for her partner, Menglen vows to help her solve this difficult case. As the afternoon sun sets over the campus, the investigation shifts into high gear. Inside the security hub, the duo scars the monitors for any sign of the dark-haired suspect. Menglen points excitedly at a screen, having finally spotted the woman they've been looking for. Later, Chun is back at her office and tells a visitor to enter after hearing a knock. Menglen bursts in, eager to report that she knows where the suspect went. She is met by a sharp-eyed officer with a cat perched on her head, who looks completely unimpressed. Menglen recoils in shock, wondering if this newcomer is actually the beast tamer criminal they were hunting. The woman's identification confirms she is actually Zhao Ruoxia, the vice captain of the Major Crimes Division. Ruoxia reveals the whole criminal act was just a test to see what kind of person Menglen really was. Chun sighs as she listens to her subordinate explain the unauthorized testing of their new associate. Ruoxia bluntly tells Menglin she failed the test by letting her guard down for a simple ego boost. Chun stands by her partner, suggesting that the faith she has in Menglin is entirely unfounded. Shifting back to the mission, Menglin asks for any real intelligence they have on the true animal abuser. Ruoxia flashes a confident smirk, announcing she has finally pinned down the suspect's approximate location. Miles away, the real beast tamer has several stolen cats trapped in a cramped cage in his van. He kicks the side of the container, ruthlessly telling the frightened animals to shut up. Trapped in a parking lot with no signal and police everywhere, the villain begins to panic. Desperate to escape the dragnet, he decides he has no choice but to force his way out. He slams on the gas and brandishes a weapon, causing innocent bystanders to scatter in terror. The man rants hysterically about his twisted sense of justice as he speeds through the area. Suddenly, he sees a lone figure standing perfectly still in the middle of the road, blocking his path. He recognizes the purple hair of Captain Chun and realizes his luck has finally run out. Gritting his teeth, he resolves to try and crush her under the weight of his van. Chun doesn't flinch, calmly rolling up her sleeve as the vehicle hurtles toward her. With a gaze of cold steel, she prepares to stop the criminal's rampage with her own two hands. Menglin ponders a difficult question while snacking on a single fry. Sitting across from her mentor, she questions who would truly win in a clash of pure skill versus raw power. Momo sips her drink, warning that a thief's career is short-lived if they can't outmaneuver the law. Menglin casually dismisses the threat, confidently stating that as long as there are humans, there will always be thieves. Momo stares back in silence, stunned by her student's naive bravado. She explains that Chun isn't just an officer, but the absolute nuclear option of the entire police force. Momo leans in with a grim warning that Chun's true strength is a monster that defies all conventional logic. Back in the heat of the chase, the beast tamer panics as his van refuses to budge despite flooring the gas pedal. He screams in terror, realizing Captain Chun is holding the massive vehicle back with nothing but her bare hands. Chun stares him down with a gaze of pure steel, showing no signs of physical strain. With a single, explosive strike, she shatters the windshield to reach the coward hiding inside. The impact is so massive that the steering wheel is sent flying clear out of the wreckage. Watching from the sidelines, Menglin realizes her master's warnings weren't exaggeration at all. Chun stands amidst the smoking ruins of the van, having completely dismantled the engine block by hand. The captain remains calm and alert, tracking the criminal's every move as he tries to find an escape. Desperate, the beast tamer holds a tiny kitten hostage, threatening to snap its neck if she moves. He rants about his status as a classic criminal, refusing to let his career end in this alleyway. Taking advantage of the standoff, he turns tail and sprints away with his stolen cargo. Ruoxia watches him flee, noting that his overinflated ego reminds her of a certain pink-haired thief. Menglin pulls out her phone, telling the vice captain to stand back while she handles the situation her way. The criminal laughs to himself, thinking he successfully outsmarted the dumb cops. His celebration is cut short by a sudden, high-pitched mechanical whirring from above. He looks up to find the sky filled with a specialized drone swarm blocking his path. Menglin steps forward with the controller, informing him that he's already been locked on by her targeting sensors. She issues a final warning to drop the cat carrier or be peppered with paralytic darts. Surrounded and outmatched, the criminal realizes his escape route has been completely sealed off. In a fit of spite, he hurls the cat carrier over the bridge, hoping to force a distraction. Before the carrier can hit the water, a high-tech grappling hook tears through the air. Menglin expertly snags the falling crate, securing the safety of the animals with professional precision. The criminal stares in disbelief, finally realizing that Menglin is a master of his own trade. Ruoxia seizes the opening, dropping a heavy-duty sack over the villain's head to end the struggle. The two women look down at their captive, giving him a taste of the confinement he forced upon his victims. Ruoxia thanks the girl for her technical assistance and suggests she return to her studies. She adds that Captain Chun is waiting nearby to return something important. Maintaining her professional focus, Ruoxia drags the bagged criminal toward the transport vehicle. Menglin finds Chun waiting in the park, the afternoon light catching the captain's sharp features. Chun reaches out to gently adjust the girl's hair, a rare moment of softness after the battle. The two stand together in silence, acknowledging the successful completion of their unofficial partnership. Chun offers a warm smile, explaining that they both share names inspired by the changing seasons. She offers Menglin an official reward at the station, causing the girl to flush with embarrassment. Menglin quickly declines, maintaining her distance from the law despite their recent cooperation. Chun watches the young thief walk away, knowing their paths are destined to cross again soon. Menglin shouts back a playful reminder that she's still a criminal and won't be caught so easily. Chun reaches into her uniform and pulls out a small notebook she's been holding onto. Inside lies the student ID card Menglin dropped, serving as a perfect excuse for a future meeting. Menglin walks off into the distance, already calculating the perfect time to retrieve her lost property.